Today I'm live with Patrick King, and I got to tell you, folks, I've been anxiously waiting and anticipating to hear what Pat King's got to say. Actually, this morning I was watching the roundtable with AJ. I listen, and a lot of you that watch my channel watch AJ's as well. And they were just barely starting to touch down. I was actually saying this to Pat a little earlier on. They were just barely starting to touch down about some of these things that have been unfolding, events that unfortunately I'm not privy to, but Pat's going to get us up to speed here. So thanks, Pat, for joining me on the show today. And yeah, just let us know what's going on here so that we can kind of start to discuss, some of the obviously topics or issues that you guys have been trying to touch down upon.
You bet. Well, thanks for having me on here, Bennett. Just a little information about myself. We were part of the convoy that rolled all the way across to Ottawa, all the way left from Red Deer, Alberta, Canada. And in doing that, we were able to inform the public of some basic things that were going on with us out here. And in doing that, my partner and I, Jay Riedel, we decided to travel back across Ontario to go and try and wake up the rest of the sleeping majority. In doing that, some people that had a louder voice than ourselves and were able to do or contact CBC and labeled us racists and xenophobes and every other name in the book, all because we were talking about our mission to Ottawa and how successful we were. In doing that, yourself, Bennett, had picked up the article and did a wonderful interview, which to ours, we thank you so much. Appreciate everything for that and getting that out there. And in doing so, we carried on with our trip and our tour. And then in July, there was another one in Ottawa. And there was a thing called Music for Vets.
Right.
And Music for Vets was a pretty big concert, 17 band members that are bands that were supposed to do a charity fundraiser for our veterans. And once again, these same 4 or 5 people were able to get that event canceled. Because we were wearing a yellow vest or we were talking out against the government and saying things that people didn't like to hear. And they were able to cancel that. So let's move forward and let's see what happened last week. Last week, we did a concert. We had another concert because of the cancellation of the Music for Vets. With a singer by the name of Jamie Nix.
Actually, before you continue on, keep that thought, because I'm just thinking, I want anyone that's watching this video to understand what he's saying. By daring to stand in opposition to the government, these people are having the media and a lot of people that are threatening them with destroying their credibility or who they are as a people or unpersoning them, as we're seeing. So think about what that means, like I say, folks, because even though Pat kind of goes through that and we're all used to it now, that's the thing. It's weird the fact that we can even skip over that part of the equation and then think that that's even normal. In a modern Western society such as Canada, to have the government or the media class basically, yes, targeting people for daring to challenge the status quo or the rule and establishment. What kind of a country do you really live in when you have that happening and taking place? I mean, I know that's going to disturb some people, but that is the reality that we have to deal with. Sorry, Pat, go ahead, man.
So in doing that, and you're exactly right. We're we're threatening the status quo, but in the group that we have, and we're all speaking about illegal immigration, we're speaking about SNC-Lavalin affair, corruption at the highest level in our governments, which is in the news. It's nothing new. It's we're just putting an emphasis on all of this. But these 4, 5 voices are really loud. They are people that have some kind of authoritarianism or authority to, wow, man, if I could just begin in the way they smear us on this page that they have, and they call us all everything in the book. Well, they've been able to accomplish it again.
They've got
Jamie Nix, who is a former CCMA award winner, he is also a brilliant musician. Him and his team got together and said, you know what? These voices, you guys want to, you want to call us out. You want to say this, you want to say that. We're going to run our own concert. And we're going to do it with our own dime. We're not going to look for any wages out of it or anything again.
Nice.
And now this gentleman by the name of Jim Lowther of this Veterans Affairs or Veterans Canada organization has turned down the donation of over $11,000 that they raised.
Really?
Saying that they can't take it because they're nonpartisan.
They're not.
So, and Yes, they're right. They're nonpartisan. They don't want to have any affiliation to any group that has anything to do with yellow vests, has anything to do with speaking out about the government. They don't want anything to do with any of that stuff. And here we are going, this is money.
Yeah,
who cares
that's a political position to take, right? Because if that is definitely a political position, because if you're genuinely looking to help people and you're a charity organization, if funds are flowing in there, now I get you might have a personal preference in where those funds come from, but at the end of the day, like I say, I just can't help but imagine, if someone was starved to death and someone was willing to offer to help me, even if they disagree with me politically, that's okay. Actually, that's kind of normal. That's the point of the West, right? Is the fact that we're supposed to have these kind of disagreements in terms of politics. But when you try to prevent people from, trying to help other people through organizations by sheer fact that you don't agree with the politics, that causes a great amount of concern for me as well, Pat.
Well, the fact of the matter is they were able to raise over $11,000, and the money. Even Veterans Affairs now is saying, no matter what, we can't take it. We have vets starving on the streets who aren't getting the treatment that they need. We've got vets that are in crisis, that the RCA, the Royal Canadian Army or Air Force or whoever, our Army, they're releasing gentlemen in crisis while still being on base. So they release them back to the public, into civilian life, and they have no idea how to handle it. So they're still, from the PTSD and everything and all that stuff. These people need help, and they have to literally jump through every hoop there is to get this help. So
well, I'm sorry, Pat. I just can't stop but think about the fact that they said that, what an oxymoron. I'm nonpartisan, which means I don't care about politics, is what you're saying, but yet you're refusing to take money from people. Well, that's actually, you know what? They failed already at that endeavor. If you're nonpartisan, then you should know that people that are willing to donate money to your organization are going to come from many different areas and backgrounds in terms of politics. That's the point of nonpartisan. So actually that person, whoever the hell that was, do you have a name for this person? Because let's shame him.
Jim Lowther.
Jim
Lother.
All right, Jim, you're a fail already there, because if you're saying you're nonpartisan, then you're refusing to take donations from people because of their political leanings. And apparently you don't understand what nonpartisan means, right? Because everyone that's going to donate to you is going to be partisan in some way, right? What the hell is wrong with these people? Like I say, no wonder the left is such failures, is because they don't even know how to construct a proper narrative or an argument without contradicting themselves on a continued basis. Go ahead, Pat, man. This is hilarious.
You're absolutely right, Bennett. But here was the kicker too to it all, as we were able to track to see who this gentleman was. Major liberal supporter. And I mean financially.
Sounds pretty partisan to me.
He's on the list. And then as Jamie and the band and Sweet Tequila and are you familiar who JD Bixby is?
Unfortunately, no, I'm not. Sorry.
He won Canadian Idol. He was one of the singers. He was there as well, and really supporting our veterans, trying to do this for other people.
Nice.
And
I don't have cable anymore, Pat. So I miss out on a lot of that stuff. I drop my cable a lot, so I don't get a lot of something, but I get it. Go ahead.
Well, that's just how I familiarize myself.
No, I get it there, but yeah, maybe I'll have to check out this Bixby character. But yeah.
So in doing that, they were able to determine that. How was I going to say it now? In donating all of this, the Liberal Party, unannounced to the general public here in Canada, donated, surprise, $840,000 to the Veterans Affairs. Really? Never made it public, never announced it, never said who got the money, where it went, which organization or what. And then we find out that the money, imagine this. You guys throw this concert for the vets. Well, the Liberal Party just gave $840,000. So your money is irrelevant. We don't care about it.
Yeah.
And here we are standing here going, sneaky little bastards.
Yeah.
You guys never, ever help the vets. You don't do anything to contribute. You don't ever, you say, Trudeau stood in the town hall to the gentleman from the Princess Patricia's and said, "I'm sorry, but the veterans are asking for more than we can give."
But he has definitely shown that he's more than willing to plunder the Canadian taxpayer to virtue signal, right? So, he played that politics for a while, but now he recognized what a failure he's been, and the fact that he's probably got, half a boot already kicking his ass out in October, right? And the Canadian people are definitely anxiously waiting for him. So he's like, I guess I'm going to, he's going to virtue signal by stealing a whole lot of taxpayer dollars and plundering, the income of people such as yourself to virtue signal. Meanwhile, he wasn't the one that was actually voluntarily doing it. You folks shown that this is how you donate. We go through a voluntary interaction. We do donations voluntarily where we're not sticking a gun at someone's head. We say, could you help, volunteer your support for the vets? But he said, no, I don't want to do that. No, I'd rather use government edict and force as that ultimate means, Dan, so I can virtue signal. Yeah. Good job, Trudeau. Right.
Yeah. It's his way of earning votes before this election.
Yeah, he's been buying them up to the tune of a lot. We're paying for Trudeau to buy those votes, man.
Oh, I know. And us out here in the West are paying for it even more. We're being kicked. We're being punched. We're being driven into the ground. Our industry is taking a shit. Now this new thing with China bringing their steel over here to build the LNG plant in Kitimat, BC. What happened to building Canadian? What happened to having a Canadian-owned building and our steel manufacturing? No, years and years and years ago, they destroyed our steel manufacturing facilities and our economy and that end of things. So, of course, now we can't make the steel here, not like you can in Hamilton, but where I'm from, in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, we used to have the largest steel-making facility in North America. We were shut down and bankrupt basically, and now it just runs by contract. But now you got China paying no tariffs, no taxes, no anything, and bringing this over to Canada. When we build it right here in Alberta, we build those facilities in Alberta. We build them, we put them on trucks, we put them on trains, we put them on whatever we need to, move them up north to build them and put them and manufacture, assemble them. But now we have Chinese interests coming over here, building it in China. Who knows what environmental standards they're following? Who knows what environmental policies and procedures they're using? And then they bring it over here. But then here was the kicker. The kicker was, the rumor has it, there's Chinese military on Canadian soil protecting Chinese assets. So then it brings people like myself in to try and do the greater good. Jamie Nix, Jay Riedel, all of the fellow patriots across Canada, trying to do what we can for Canadians. We have a government that's not doing it for us. Not at all. Not at all. 100%. We see the Liberal government spending spree like a, how does the one gentleman says, he says, you're like a drunk farm wife in New York City right after harvest, just blowing the money. And it's sick to watch.
Well, let me just respond to this, because some of the people watching, and I do get a little bit of pushback from time to time, because I am a libertarian, and because I am a libertarian, I hold myself to a high ideal in terms of principles. But so people say, oh, well, how dare you? What's wrong with you libertarians? I thought you were all about the free market and free trade, which I am. But I'm trying to tell people that are going to try to put forth that argument, I'm going to preempt that by saying, let me know when we get to the environment where we actually have free trade, right? Because when we ever reach that utopian world that you all pretend that we live under, then I will be on board and side with you that we shouldn't have the ability to deny China to flood our markets with their cheap labor. The problem is that in the West, what has, like I say, and I've said this in the past, what has made West the best is the fact that we try to raise and elevate people. Well, right? I mean, sure, if you want to go backwards, like what China does, and you just use slave labor and pay people something that's basically 1/10 of what they should have in terms of their economic rewards for what they produce in society. I mean, if you want to play that fucking game, then sure, you can create this. If your idea of free trade is raised down to slavery, well, that's the kind of free trade that I never want to interact or engage in. No. The West and the founding fathers of the U.S. and even predominantly some of the British and the Canadian counterparts kind of understood is the only way that works properly if you're going to have free trade is if you're dealing with people that have the same underlying principles. as you do.
Yeah.
If you want to interact or engage with people all around the planet, then there's never going to be such thing as free or fair trade, because they don't do things in the same manner or at the same level as far as trying to raise and elevate people. So don't play that game with me if you're trying to tell me that I'm against freedom or free market, when I'm saying, no, we shouldn't allow China to just use their slave labor tactics to flood our markets with products of that. I would have made the same argument back when slavery existed, down in the South, right? I mean, you can make back then plantation owners were making the argument, well, how dare you to go against this? Hey, you like that shirt that's on your back, right? Our slaves made that, but you know what? No, I'd rather pay if it requires or deems that I have to pay a few cents more for my shirt. But then again, the people that will be producing that shirt will be rewarded more. So actually, that cost analysis is going to be affected in many different multiple ways. But like I say, I'd rather raise and elevate people. I don't want slaves. If I have to have a shirt on my back by having slaves, well, I like I say, I'd rather pivot somewhere else. And that's what the West was supposed to be. That's what separated the West from the rest of the entire globe, was we don't want to race down to the lowest common denominator. We want to use moral ethics and the free market as a means to raise and elevate each other. And that's the area that we're at today. And for these people that are proponents of allowing, these cheap Chinese goods constantly be the area to destroy the jobs and the prospects of many Canadians who are very hardworking and entrepreneurial and have lots of ambitions. No, I'm not going to play that game. Not for a fucking minute.
Well, you see, we've got China putting tariffs on our canola and everything. They hit us everywhere they can and hurt us. Now here we are in the West trying to just stay afloat, just trying to keep food on the table, and a beautiful opportunity to build a facility to get our products, our resources to market.
Exactly.
But we can't do that still because our government is allowing a foreign country to dictate what they can and can't do here. I'm sorry, but this is fucking Canada, not China. You know what I mean? Like, this is not their country. If they want to bring their steel and they want to bring their goods here, well, guess what? You're going to pay the tariffs. You're going to pay this. You're going to pay the taxes. You're going to pay the carbon tax on all of that stuff. And here we are in Alberta, have the facilities, the means, the know-how, the knowledge, and the workers.
Exactly.
We have people here that can build these facilities and move them. Built in Canada, Canada proud, Canada first.
Yeah.
But no, our liberal government is allowing this country to dictate what they can and can't do here.
Yeah.
Who's in charge of Canada? Who's in charge of Canada? Is it Justin Trudeau and his fancy fucking socks? I don't think so.
Yeah.
It's other foreign investors. Let's put it that way. Foreign investors who dictate what we can and can't do here.
Yeah. And we're
sick and tired of it.
Exactly. And as someone who was born and raised in a very blue collar family with a lot of blue collar people that actually, even though most of my family are from the East Coast, New Brunswick predominantly, they're spread and scattered across this entire country and doing exactly the kind of thing you say, working fucking hard out there in those minus 40-degree plus weathers in Fort McMurray in the winter, doing some really, really fucking nasty stuff to make sure that we all, have access to the energy that we need to sustain our livelihoods. And to me, it's like if you're willing to sacrifice those people because you want a virtue signal to someone in some foreign country, then you're just what you're saying to me at the end of the day is you basically have no loyalties whatsoever to anything that you call yourself. To me, it's like, then don't pretend that you're fucking Canadian. Just don't, like, this is the thing with people that promote this kind of globalism is just admit, just own up to the fact that the only loyalty you have to is whatever benefits you and you only. Because at the end of the day, you have to. The West was built on principles, right? Of course, it's easy to just be geographically descriptive in terms of, the skin color or the demographics or the composition of your geography. But that's base level shit. I mean, I can go into the fucking jungle and point out, look, this is an area sanctuary for monkeys. But what separated the West from the West? Like I said, the rest is the fact that we try to hold ourselves to a much higher standard. And that is the thing. And most countries around the world are trying to strive or attain that amount of success. I'm more than willing to say, invest in the countries that are trying to strive to attain the kind of success or be on the same level as the West. But if they're trying to circumvent or co-opt what the West invented, which was modern day free market capitalism, if they're trying to use cronyism or top-down authoritarianism as their means to get to that point, well, that's basically the same person. If you're on a track, if you're a sprinter and someone that's willing to throw their fucking a stick and trip you up on your, that's not the way to get there. If you're trying to trip me up as a means to get yourself up to my level, well, who the hell supports that? And who actually benefits from that? Because that was a one-time proposal or a one-time scenario where you got to trip someone up. But eventually, actually, that's what I like about the West today is I'm starting to see people that are starting to step up and say, no, we'll lead by example and we'll do things better. And actually, you know what? That's the way you do it. Because to counteract and prevent these authoritarian collectivists from taking hold is by us stepping up the plate and leading by example. I'm glad that a lot of people like yourself are still out there every day. No one has said, I'm not going to do what I need to do. You're doing exactly what needs to be done every day to make sure the Canadian people have the lights they can turn on, food in their bellies, heat in their homes, gas in their tanks, right? I'm glad that you're all doing that. But like I say, the one thing we have to do, and this is very important, is those of us who genuinely do produce and provide for the rest of society. And I'm sure you've heard of this before, or maybe haven't, but this goes all the way back to Hank Rearden and people that were in novels that Ayn Rand put forth. She was an objectivist. And it's called, one of her novels that she wrote was called Atlas Shrugged. And what it is the people that provide everything for society, we are and you know what Atlas is? It's a Greek mythological character, right? So you're carrying the weight of the world on your shoulder. And what it is, at some point in time when the authoritarians and all the rest of these dipshits are trying to impose their will and their mandates and their edicts upon you, is if you're Atlas, which what we are, the blue collar, the working class of this, is sometimes you just got to fucking shrug. Shake the world up, and because we have the power. You have no, that's the thing. The people forget that just because some asshole in a $5,000 pinstripe suit has access to media, but you have way more power than Justin Trudeau. You could take him out of the equation tomorrow, and what the fuck did Canada lose? What? Nothing. The food,
we lost an entitled, spoiled brat with an open pocketbook.
Right. The food will still flow. The trains will still be going down the rails. The truck will still be running. No, it's like I say, it's those of us in society that truly are the providers. Sometimes we do have to send a very clear and concise message to the ruling class and say, no, you keep pushing us so far, and eventually we're going to shrug. And when you feel that shrug, it's going to shake you right to your core.
The best way I describe it is if everybody's familiar and your listeners are familiar with this and your viewers, is this has been going on for generations. They destroyed our fisheries. They destroyed with the fishing moratorium in the East Coast, then to Ontario and our resources in Ontario with the mining and all our steel making industries. They hit us with that. That would have been Mulroney and his fucking North American Free Trade Agreement. All of that bullshit back in the day. Now you've got every society. Now you've got the agriculture. You got the farmers who are over $100 billion in debt due to sanctions on the wheat pools and all of that stuff. And no younger generation of farmers are picking up that trade because they don't want to take and carry on their families, the farm's debt. Exactly. So now you've got every person across Canada so far pushed all the way out to Alberta, to where Alberta and Saskatchewan, where we have our oil and gas industry, the backbone of our economy. Yep. And now it's not just Albertans that are screaming at this. It's not just Albertans that are standing up. This is the best part. It's Canadians. Yep. From every coast, from coast to coast, from every province who are here in Alberta trying to make a good living because they destroyed our economy back in the day. So we all came out to Alberta to have a good life, to provide. Fuck, I've been paying 48% tax bracket for 11 and a half years and still had a good life. It's fine. Oh, yeah. Oh, you whining, crying oil field workers. Guys, if it wasn't for us, you wouldn't have your equalization payments. I'm sorry. $620 billion of equalization payments from the oil and gas industry from Alberta went to Quebec. And look at how Quebec lives high on the hog. Well, guess what? You've got everybody here in Canada, in Alberta, in Saskatchewan, working their asses off, trying to stay afloat. Yep. And now where are our equalization payments? So, of course, you think we're pissed? You think we're mad? Yeah. Fucking right, we're mad. We've had enough. There's no more putting it to the man anymore. You're putting it to the little man, and the little man's barking. You got us pushed against the Rockies now. We can't climb over the mountains. Yeah. So you got us all pushed into this corner, and it's time we come out fighting. We have to. We have no choice. If we don't, we lose our culture, we lose our industry, we lose everything. And we also lose Canada. And that's the biggest thing. You've got the largest conglomerate of patriots here because we are all from all over the country and we've all witnessed it. And now here we are. You want to talk illegal immigrants? Let's talk about migrant workers. The people that have had to leave their homes from other places in Canada and come out here to work just to make a living. Now you got us to where we can't do this anymore. Let's fix Canada's backyard before we start going and cleaning somebody else's backyard.
Exactly. And you know, the kind of person that talks down upon, like you say, the people out there in the oil patch that are producing and providing all that energy that the user consume, to me, that's basically akin to an Irishman that stepped foot in the Sahara Desert, jumped on the back of the camel and said, oh, it's a little bit of a rough ride. Well, if you were the camel, you say, well, how about you get the fuck off and step on that hot sand yourself, dipshit, and see how it feels, right? No, but come on, most of these people that are insulting the oil or gas workers in Alberta have no idea where most of that energy that they consume every day. They have no idea how much work and what kind of effort goes into actually producing that. They're just the recipients. And that's the problem with these entitled people, and predominantly come from that left side of the political spectrum, is none of them have actually engaged or interacted in that blue collar field. They've used their minds predominantly as the ultimate means to that. And I have nothing against that. But to me, even because I recognize there's an area in society where you need people like that. Even one thing I'll even acknowledge from the left is they're very creative. So a lot of our arts, our music, and our television, a lot of people from the left, and I appreciate them for that. But that'd be like to me, it's like I don't go around insulting people that are into the arts and music, because I recognize that that's an area that they provide to society. That's a good thing. But once again, how would you provide that music? Like, that trombone or that trumpet or that clarinet or those musical instruments, some guy in the blue collar field, some of those people that you look down upon produce that so you could even do your kind of creative endeavors you want to undertake. Same with the people in the media class. The fact that you have a microphone and a screen and communication device, that all happened because of people like Patrick, because of people like me, myself in the past that have worked hard to provide that for you. So to try to look down upon the people that are providing for you, like I say, that's that emperor that's standing on the back, right, of all the people, so that he can look out and observe things. Well, listen, if you weren't standing on the back of all those people, right, you wouldn't see shit. So at least show a little bit of respect for those people that you constantly try to talk down upon or look down. Yeah.
And then you have us. And like you said, we work hard. And I'm not saying we're better than anybody else. We pick and choose what we do.
Exactly.
Okay. So we chose to work in this industry. Fine and dandy. But the sacrifices that we've had experienced to do that, so that you can go to the pump and fill your vehicle up with fuel and get yourself to your 9-to-5 job. Well, guess what? Thank an oil field worker. Thank a rig hand, thank a production guy, thank an upstream oil and gas gentleman, because it took us 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, at 100 days in a straight working to get that product to market.
Exactly.
We sacrificed in the bush
industry.
But absolutely. The trucking, holy Jesus, if it wasn't for the trucking industry, there's nothing. There's nothing left. Oh man, that's a whole nother topic. But
you got a lot of material, but to get it from point A to B, right? People like myself. Why do you think I got these bags under my eyes, folks? a lot of fucking years driving up and down them goddamn roads, way more hours than a person should even be. And not that I was unsafe. I never caused harm to not one human being over the course of my trucking career. But all those products and services, every time you went to the grocery store and you're like, oh man, I'm glad I got all this food that I can just show up and buy. That's because of truck drivers and because of farmers that actually, started at the farm actually. But there was a lot of people along that entire equation that are literally the people that these lefties, these authoritarian collectivists, these are the people that you try to look down upon. And like I say, they're the ones that are providing you with everything that you consume. That is the part that I think is most disturbing, right? Take politics out of the equation. I think that's why most people are disenfranchised with what we would consider today the elites or the ruling class, is the sheer fact that there is absolutely no pretense of understanding or respect for the hard work and efforts that goes into producing and providing everything that most people take for granted every day.
Yeah, the best thing I like to speak it as is, we may be, according to that tier of society, we may be at the bottom, But we like it here. It's simple and it's done. But what the best part of it is we are the worker ants. We are the worker ants that keep it all running and keep everything going so that everybody who's on the other end of the receiving end of this gets their product, gets their resources, get what they need. Well, guess what? This is the best analogy that I was ever told. If you've ever watched the movie Ants, there's a part where the grasshopper guys and the hornet dudes, they're all pissed off because one little ant threw an acorn at them. Yeah. And he hits them with an acorn and he says, "Oh, boss, that one little ant, he hit us with an acorn. Well, we got to get him. We got to get him now. But boss, that was just one little ant." And then he says, he takes an acorn and he hits the guy with an acorn and all of a sudden he gets hit. And then he gets hit with a second one. Well, that didn't hurt so much, boss. What are you getting at? So then he throws another and another and another. And then he dumps the whole lot of them. He says, one little ant is going to piss off the rest of the colony. And when you got one, you're going to get 1,000,000. Well, look at this. The government of Canada, honest to God, you pissed off the little ants too much. Yeah. And here we are. Are we speaking out loud and proud? Absolutely. Are we sick and tired of bending over and letting you just rape us left and right? Absolutely. Yeah. So it's time that Canada grew, and I'm going to say it, grow a set of fucking balls, stand up to your government and say, look, this is what we were able to accomplish in the convoy going across Canada. This is the best part about it, is we were successful. Yeah. Our pipelines were approved 2 days after leaving Parliament Hill. A group of 200 plus people were able to speak loud enough to have the government change, and the NEB or the National Energy Board change their decision and approve our pipelines. Yeah. Well, guess what? If that's only 200 people, what's going to happen across Canada if 1,000,000 of us stand up and we speak out and we don't let this government and this stupid fancy socks potato head destroy us? We need to stand up together. And it doesn't have to be violent. It doesn't have to be aggressive. It just has to be united across the front to show the rest of the country that, hey, things are wrong. Yeah. Things are going bad here in Canada and we're being sold out. And the rest of us out here are suffering. Yeah. The people that aren't suffering, okay, you're lucky. You were able to provide yourself the means and the opportunity to live a comfortable life. But there's people out here, and when you start attacking the trucking industry, and there's not many trucks moving out here anymore. There's barely any other than your GDL and your grocery trucks and all that. That's it. Your reefers. There's no heavy hauling. There's none of that. Well, guess what? If you start hurting us out here within 48 hours of the trucking industry being shut down, we will be brother upon brother, and it don't matter how much you have in your bank account. Yeah. Actually, you know what, Pat, when you're talking about the trucking thing, because like I say, I was a truck driver traveling up down the road, whether that's on channel 1 when you're in Canada or 19 in the US, or you just on your own private channel. We had this conversation many times over many hours, and we would talk. It was amazing because I used to say, just based on my own premises, even the entire trucking industry, we don't all have to strike. Actually, before I even get into the story, is when you guys did your rolling convoy, not only was I proud to see that you were willing to step up the plate and do that, because I know what it undertook to do that, to travel across that entire country on your own dime, I'll admit. And it was tough. The only thing that I think bothered me most is there wasn't more. That's the only thing that bothered me. I was proud to see you people coming, but I was a little bit disappointed to see that there was less and less. But I get everyone out there. I get it. You're out there providing for yourself and your family. You didn't feel like you had the but you know what? That's why maybe this is an example why we should be placing ourselves in a position where we're not so indebted that you can't take a couple weeks off. And that'll actually play perfectly into what I was saying in terms of my trucking stories while we're traveling down the road is all it required predominantly is the tanker guys, the guys that deliver the fuel to all the gas stations in the country, right? Because every politician, right, every media pundit, they all require, especially at that time when there was no such thing as a Tesla, right? And even the Teslas, trust me, you're still going to have to rely on some of those fossil fuels because even though you might not put it in your tank, fossil fuels are still greatly generating a lot of that electricity that you're using, right? So, but like I say, what I found disturbing was the fact that even if you just took the tanker division of most trucking outfits, it would only take probably 2 days at most for all the tanks to dry up and no one to have one drop of fuel. How much attention do you think that the truckers and the oil and gas industry could garner once people
Oh, we recognize that we rely on you folks for like so much. That was a perfect example where if you want to teach the ruling class a genuine lesson, is take 2 weeks off. And it always disturbed me because, like I say, 2 weeks is all we really require. Not a month, not multiple months, just 2 weeks. Because after 2 days, when the tanks are all empty, and when the grocery shelves after 3 or 4 days are all empty, trust me, people are going to start to pivot and pay attention to what you've got to say. But like I say, what either two things is: one, if people are too indebted and they don't feel that they can do it, or two, that they don't have the resolve to put themselves in even a little bit of strenuous situation for a short time. But to me, that's like, it's a wrong way to think about it. Be willing to adopt short-term pain. Just acknowledge that there will be a long-term effect of gain if you do so. That's the problem with today. A lot of people are making excuses. Well, I can't, man. I just can't. I would love to join you, Pat, right? But I just can't, right? It's like, stop making fucking excuses, everyone. I get it. But you know what? Put yourself in a position where you can, right? Where you can show solidarity with people like Pat. Because I guarantee you, it will take, like I say, it won't take long, maybe not even 2 weeks. I'm pretty sure actually even 1 week be enough for all these top-down authoritarians to be almost begging the people that are, like I say, and that's another thing when I was saying about Atlas Shrugged. I don't just mean the workers, I mean the people that actually provide the service. So the corporate, or not corporate, but the business owners. So it doesn't mean just the workers, but all those people that are, like I say, whether you're management or the working class, all those people that provide everything in society, is if we all show solidarity with each other, right? Trust me, it's short-term pain, and I recognize that's going to happen. But the long-term effects are going to pay off dividends for not just our generation, but for generations going forward. So we got to
and that's why we do what we do. It's for our next future generations.
Exactly. I know you do, Pat. And that's why I respect you guys and why I'm more than willing, always, like I say, to bring you on my channel, because I know who the kind of people you are and the kind of people you represent, which is just, like I say, the backbone of society. You know, you might not fit into some upper echelons, right? But that's okay. That's fine. I'm the same way. There's lots of areas of society where it's like, I don't even give a shit. I wouldn't even want to feel comfortable in that environment. It feels weird to me, you know. That, like I say, even though I still put on even right now, I'll put on a shirt and a tie, but I still would feel really uncomfortable surrounding myself with people with nothing but shirts and ties. I try to represent myself professional in what I'm doing, but I still, right to my core, I am that kind of blue collar guy. Well, I have been my whole life. Only difference is now I've transitioned from, well, I would still be that guy running up down the road. It wasn't for the fact of mandatory minimums and punish me for having a few beer on my four-wheeler, right? That's why my career was destroyed. But you know, all these authoritarian hacks that destroyed my career, I'm pretty sure if they had the chance 10 years later, they'd be like, fuck, I wish we had just left that guy alone. Because actually, I've been more effective now doing what I'm doing than I ever did as a truck driver as far as pushing back. So no matter what, you can place me in any position, and I'll always find a way to try to get my mouth so I'm breathing above water. That's like, you can't, I'm the kind of person, and I'm sure you're the same way. You can stick your fucking piece of shit boot on my head all day, every day. You're never going to keep me down. I'm one of those people. I'm like the bobblehead or something. You can't keep me down no matter what. So I think actually the ruling class inadvertently, by their own fallibilities and their own ineptness, is they've actually caused me to actually be much more effective, even though I still, there's parts where I wish I was still driving up and down that road, because I really enjoyed that kind of, well, for me, especially for someone like me, I'm a little bit of a rebel at heart. I don't like having these. Well, the only kind of authority I respect is one that's actually a leader because they do by example. But authority just like your arbitrary edict, I've never been a fan of that. So driving a truck where it's just me, myself, and I, that was conducive. That was good for my kind of personality. But they weren't even happy with allowing me to do that. Well, you fucked yourself up, didn't you, dipshits? Because now I'm, like I say, I stepped up my efforts in a whole different area, and I'm still going to be coming at you constantly, and I'm still going to be defending my areas that I think is most important, which is the blue collar and the working class in this country.
If it wasn't for the working class in this country, there wouldn't be this country. Yeah. And we all know that. Building structures, building high-rise, building those fancy office buildings. Trudeau had the balls to call us all, construction workers rapists and druggies and all of this. I couldn't believe the balls of that guy. I'm surprised that somebody didn't throw a 28-ounce S-wing hammer at him. But you know what? That's what we take. We take it. We take it. We take it. We take it. And the best saying I have always said and it can go in any way possible. Be careful of the toes you step on today, because they may lead to the ass you kiss tomorrow. And I'm sorry, we may not be in that managerial role. We may not be in that presidential CEO, CFO, whatever you want to call it. We may not be there, but guess what? You're going to be kissing our asses pretty soon when you don't get your products to market, because we're not going to go to work.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're not going to drive your goods and services. Exactly. We're not going to take your product to the grocery stores and to the clothing stores and to the retail outlets. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, to me, this is the message and this is why I want to make this most important thing that I say in this video today, because I'm not against business owners or people that invent or create ideas, because those are the innovators they do represent a minority, and the working class at a little bit of a majority in terms of that. So I have respect for the people that come up with the ideas, because it requires both. It requires the person that comes up with the ideas,
yes,
and the people that bring those ideas to fruition. My point, though, today, and I'm sure Pat would agree with me, is those of us that are the innovators, the entrepreneurs, the business owners, just acknowledge that it's the working class that you need to show solidarity. When you're going to talk about a relationship, don't fucking run to the political class just because, like I say, they use this big gigantic gun as their means to an end. Just know that the people that are underneath you, or not even underneath you, that are part and parcel, I wouldn't even say underneath you, I actually say equal contributors in some way. They just do it in a different manner. But your working class are the ones that you really should appeal to. Rather than create this divide or look for temporary foreign workers or mass immigration, the government, I get it, especially if you're a corporate business leader, I get it. The government's been fucking you over for lots of years, for decades, where your bottom line is being, your profit margin is being shrunken and shrunken and shrunken. But rather than offloading that, right? Like, to me, it's like, rather than offloading those costs on the Canadians and cause them to be in a situation where they got to decrease their own productivity or their compensation for what they provide by looking to temporary foreign workers or immigration. Like I say, tell the fucking dipshits in government to stop plundering your economic prosperity and all those regulations that cause a lot of extra costs that are incurred in your business model. I guarantee if you eliminate all those expenditures and all those costs that are imposed by government, you'd be able to pay your goddamn workers a whole lot more. And you know that's the case. You goddamn will know that, as if you're a business leader that's watching this video, you know that's the case. So stop trying to that shit runs downhill. I get it, but then you just end up in a pile of shit. So stop trying to offload all the costs onto the people that are actually providing everything, and maybe start putting a little bit more responsibility on the fucking dipshits that are the parasites that provide nothing other than rhetoric and, like I say, picking up a gun as a means to try to dictate and control how the market functions. That, to me, is like the business class and the working class have to come together. Stop playing this fucking game where you're just going to race down to this bottom and use politics. Because if you play the game, well, you've seen how that has taken us. Look at I've been alive for almost 5 decades in this country, and I've watched at least 4 of those decades where our wages have been stagnant in comparison and contrast to the rates of inflation. So I know in 1985, I made about $4.50, $5 an hour. But you know what? Even today, if I'm making $20 an hour, 3 times that amount, I'm still actually lower. The $20 an hour today in 2019, I have less purchasing power today than I did when I was making $4.50 an hour back in the early 1990s. So that tells you that the cost be eroding. So I'm working harder. Business people are creating and innovating. Engineers, entrepreneurs are creating lots of ways to make us more effective and more efficient in everything we provide.
Yes.
Are we seeing the compensation for that? No. Compensation is going to a bunch of fucking dipshit elites or corporate hacks that are willing to sell the rest of us out by claiming some kind of loyal or allegiance to the ruling class. That's where the problem lies today in our West, and that's the big problem in Canada today.
And that is the biggest problem we've had for generations. Is they sit there, collect they reap the rewards, and they reap all of the income and the bonuses and the profits, but don't put it back into the working class people. And it's the working class that need it most, because we're all right to do what we do. We're not complaining that we have a shitty job. Yeah, everybody's got a shitty job. Yeah, our jobs are tough and our jobs are hard and whatever. But we chose that. We chose to do that. So we're okay. But compensation to the working class people is what you need to do, or else you get people like myself and the thousands of other patriots going across Canada speaking out against this. You've got us mad. And you don't want us mad. You don't want us pissed off. Because the second you got us and we're pissed off, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, watch out, government, watch out, Ottawa. We're going to come, because we're done. We're sick and tired of being sick and tired. And we're sick and tired of saying sorry. Canada's known for saying sorry, but guess what? Canadians are now starting to get a set of balls, and we're starting to say no.
Yeah.
And that's the key.
Yeah, and people that live in very, very northern climates that have a history of having to figure out how to function in very harsh environments. Yeah, like I say, we walk softly for the most part as Canadians. I'll admit we walk softly and we do carry that big stick. But like I said, don't fucking forget that big stick exists, right? Canadians have shown many times in the past that we can punch way above our weight in terms in comparison. And why? Because like I say, we're in an environment where we've had to learn to thrive and survive. That's what it is to be Canadian. So don't underestimate us and don't push us, like Pat's saying. Don't push us to that point, because most of us, we just want to go along, get along. We want to provide for our families. And any excess that we can gain, and we feel like we have this natural ambition, and I do. I want to help my Canadian people. Like I said, I've always been willing, rather than a top-down authoritarian style of wealth redistribution, is give us the ability, modern blockchain technology. If you want to help the poor, like the homeless vets or people that need, medical attention or care, we can use blockchain technology that holds everyone to account, and we can interact into these equations or these contracts voluntarily. Because I, for one, and I'm pretty sure most Canadians would be like, I'm more than willing to give up 10, 15% of my income, my productive wealth, but I want to be the one that gets to decide where that goes. I don't want some in Ottawa to decide where it goes. It could be going to fucking, Robert Mugabe's dead now, I guess. Good, whatever. Right? But it could be going to some fucking dictator in Africa. I want to have, if I want to be a responsible adult and actually have the self-esteem for being someone that's not just personally responsible, but willing to help people, the only way that's going to function if I've actually handed that myself. Then I know that I've seen where that help and that assistance, not only where it's come from, but where it's going. So don't ever leave Canadians out of the equation, the fact that we don't want to help our fellow man and woman and child, because we do. Obviously, we're compassionate people. The fact that we allow government to plunder our income to what Pat was saying earlier, to the tune of half. Yeah. Fraser Institute study come out, basically said, and I got a video, I don't know if it's already uploaded or if I'm going to be uploaded. I've got so many videos but basically you're paying now today in taxes than you do to provide the roof over your head, the food in your belly, and the clothes on your back. What's that?
Yes.
That's basically a modern day way of saying slavery, right? Because your slave master had to make sure you had roof over your head. You still had to have food in your belly, and you still had to have clothes in your back when you're there in the plantation. They weren't, top of the line. They weren't named, but your master still had to provide you with all that. So today we're living basically in a modern slave society. It just, our minds have been tricked into convince us we're not slaves anymore, but actually we are. And like I say, a slave is not going to be nearly as productive as someone that's free. So to me, the ruling class is actually destroying a lot of our creativity, our innovation, our entrepreneurial spirit, and how much we can truly provide for society. Because a lot of people that are out there working today are working just barely enough to get along, just barely enough to get a paycheck. Think about how more productive we would be if we were actually properly rewarded and compensated for what we properly provide to society. That's the way going forward. That's how we raise and elevate each other. And the people in society that are benefiting economically, well, that does have a genuine trickle-down effects, because if Pat is making more money, Pat might be able to, renovate his kitchen or maybe do an upgrade on his garage. And that means that the local lumber yard or the local company that was out there, doing forestry, right? Or the guy that had to go out and buy all that equipment in the forestry industry or the steel industry, that means everyone else's benefit as a consequence as well.
That's right. It's a no-brainer.
It's a no, unless you're one of these dipshits, right? Have never functioned in the market. That is, to me, that's the greatest divide, is people that have never functioned in a genuine market environment where everything happens and unfolds voluntarily, and someone that always functions in an environment where everything's controlled by government. If you function in an environment which is predominantly the public sector, then you have no idea how the actual market works. And that is the biggest problem. The problem that I see today, though, is the people that don't know how markets work are the ones that are trying to convince Canadian people how to think about things in terms of economics. That's like I say, that's like someone that's never stepped foot on a drag strip trying to tell John Force how to race down that track. It's like, no, I'd rather rely on John Force because I know that man has experience in the field, right?
Yes.
I'm going to listen to an idiot that's never sat their wheel behind a drag car, right? That's just weird. But the fact is today, is these people have the power of persuasion, they have the media class, and those are representative of our education institutions to constantly indoctrinate the people to think that these people know better than the people that actually provide. What a weird world we live in today, man.
It's absolutely horrible. And that's that's the disconnect between government and the people. And that's the number one disconnect between it all, is the government thinks that they have their best interests at heart. And they're doing what's in the best interest of the people. But we're watching it in and out. And thank you, Trudeau. Honest to God, thank you for bringing it out and showing the rest of the country how dumb and how idiotic your ideology of thinking that you know what's best for the rest of the country. Why don't you ask the country what's the best for them?
Right on.
And they're missing that. And that's where we're bringing it up and showing people that, hey, you can invoke your right to a peaceful protest. You can use your freedom of speech. You can talk and make change as a collective, as a group of people, as a group of citizens, standing up for what is right, what is moral. We were successful on the convoy. We did win. And now guess what? We can still do it again, but we need to hold this government accountable. We need to show them that, hey, you guys are fucking it up for the rest of us. We don't like it anymore. No. Now, guess what? You need to make change. And it's going to take us, the working class people, to work our asses off to get this change and happen. And that's all we're trying to do. And we got people such as this Kimberly Lee, such as this Daniel Barnes, these goofballs that have a big authority and a loud voice across this country that can dictate whether or not we can donate to the Veterans Affairs, whether or not we can provide, or whether or not we can speak up and talk about the atrocities and the tyrannous government that we have. But here we are, once again, having to fight on every front just to get change in this country. And it's getting sick and tired, and we're getting sick and tired of this.
Sorry, I'm just reading a comment there, Pat. Critical Thinker Leader. I don't know if you follow his channel. He's doing some pretty good work as far as getting his message out there. He said, you Bennett. Hey, it's no E on the end there, Leo. It's not Bennett. Your face went back to its normal color. I was worried you were going. Well, hey, as you know, I'll repeat the Blue Apple episode. Hey, well, I do tend to get animated from time to time, folks. So, well, that's what it is. And I'm sure Pat's the same way. Matter of fact, I would feel really fucking weird if I was covering these issues that have a dramatic effect on my life, and I was just doing it like with some kind of robot kind of monotone. That'd be weird. Of course I get animated. What the fuck? People are trying to screw up my life and trying to screw up not just my life, but the lives of millions of people in this country. Like, it's kind of something you kind of should get animated over. It's something that you should be passionate about. Like, I'm not saying
passionate. That's what it is. It's passion. Animated, not so much, but loud and passionate. Absolutely. If we weren't passionate about this, if we weren't doing this, and we weren't putting our heart and soul and our own skin in the game to do this, then we're just the regular troll or the regular drone person. I'm sorry, but I love my country. I love everything about Canada, and I'm watching it get destroyed. Every government that comes in, every 4 years, it's getting more destroyed and more ripped apart and more division across this beautiful country. My grandfather and all his brothers fought in the war to give us the rights that we have. My brother was 18 years in the Navy to give us the rights and freedoms that we have. And I will stand proud right beside every one of them and fight for this country, albeit not in a uniform, maybe in a pair of fucking coveralls. You know what?
Right on. Yeah.
It doesn't matter. We're here to fight, and we're here to make change, and that's what we're trying to do. And people are trying to hush us up. They're trying to silence our voices, and it's not fair. And now we're seeing it more and more. The liberals and the liberal government and the majority government, or whoever it is paying these people to silence us. You got Antifa, paid protesters. You got Soros and the Tides Foundation who are paying these protesters to smear the oil and gas industry. It's not the tar sands. It's not the dirty tar sands. It's the oil sands. And it's the largest largest natural disaster in the world. If we did not do and clean up the oil sands up in Fort McMurray, it would leak into the watershed. That's why we were initially brought up there back in the 60s, was to fix this natural disaster from the bitumen leaking into the water. So us oil and gas workers, we're actually saving the environment.
Yeah, well, like I say, all the people that do provide, like I say, in society, this is the part that drives me nuts, because the environmentalists are basically, they're so weird. I mean, I get it. And like you say, no, I've never met a Canadian yet, not one. And I've talked to a lot of fucking Canadians from all over this goddamn country. And it's a big old country, as you know. I've never heard a Canadian.
Oh, yes.
I've never heard one Canadian ever say, fuck the environment, fuck the future. I don't give a shit. Not one. No matter if they're a right winger or a left winger or somewhere in between, right? I've never heard one Canadian say that. But yet that's how the media represents people that are part and parcel of the oil and gas industry in this country. As if all the people that want to work in the oil and gas industry have these little fucking red horns popped up and they're just, ooh, that's just destroyed. No, actually, those are the people, like I say, when you lay your head down your pillow at night and you're like, it's minus 25 in January and you're like, oh, so nice to have this nice warm. I don't even really feel like I got to put a blanket on tonight. That's because of those blue collar workers that you fucking insult every day, you fucking dipshits. And it's not because they're out doing that because they have some evil maniacal fucking underpinnings where they just want to cause harm. No, they're providing for you. Stop fucking fighting the hand that feeds you. You that's a problem with late stages in our modern democracy. We have a substantial portion of the population. I mean, how lucky? I mean, let's just give them all a round of applause. How fortunate are you fucking dipshits today that you can sit there in your little entitled little echo chambers or your little gated communities and talk down upon the people that provide all that comfort to you? What the?
Yeah.
And you don't. And these people are so out of touch with the reality that they don't even recognize that they're finger wagging at the people. Like I say, it's like, remember the old days when they had like these emperors or these pharaohs and all these little slaves were carrying their fucking chariots, right? It's like, it's like as if you were the guy up in that chariot, you're constantly like insulting all the people that are carrying your chariot. Like, I mean, if I know myself personally, I can't speak for everyone, but I know if I was the guy carrying that chariot and the guy's like, you piece of shit. It's like, oh, really? Right?
Yeah.
Well, that's
drop you on your ass.
Whoa. What happened, dude? Did you fall down? Oh, this must be pretty lonely down there at the bottom, is it? This is the problem that I see and why more and more people are turning and pivoting away from these leftists is because they realize even if they are someone that like might have identified as liberal in the past, well, you at least acknowledge if you identify as a genuine classical liberal, you know that these people that are calling themselves liberals or lefties today, you know they're nowhere near where you fucking understand. Because if you were raised in the same country I was, the genuine principles of liberalism was that you gave people freedom. Freedom is kind of the pretense of liberalism, right? Well, if you call yourself liberal, then where's this freedom, right? No, actually, you're liberal authoritarian mommy there. No, she's gone quite authoritarian these days, right? She's no longer offering you freedom. Matter of fact, she's adopted a little mustachio, right?
The best way I'm sorry to interrupt, but the best way I think about it is, okay, we have conservatives, we have liberals, we have NDPs, we have far left, we have the far right, we have straight up the middle.
Yep.
But these liberals are the ones that are fighting us on all of this. But here's the liberal motto. What happened to being liberal minded and wanting the best? What happened to wanting the best for everyone? Wanting the best for every person in Canada? Well, guess what? Your liberalism, your liberal motto, your liberal thought process. I'm sorry, you speak a good speak, you talk a good talk, but guess what?
Yeah.
You're contradicting yourself in every way, shape, and form. You're not liberal minded.
No,
you're authoritarianism. You are a dictatorship.
Yeah.
You're not giving us the opportunity to progress and move forward and get on and have a successful and a good life and provide for our families. Instead, you speak that we need that and you talk like this is what everybody needs, but you don't back your shit up.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, at that day of liberal thinking, it's out the window.
Well, yeah.
It's good. It's a good commercial.
Well, to me, growing up, predominantly, the biggest distinct that I ever understood growing up is the hugest difference, especially in terms of what you would identify properly, whether you're talking in terms of British politics or American politics, predominantly liberalism and conservatism, the historical divide properly was liberals were mostly about, creating more social freedom, predominantly. But we can't even say that's universally because there were some people that identified as classical liberals who are very much proponents of economic freedom too, such as Adam Smith. But if you even want to play that if you want to even break it down to that divide of left versus right in terms of politics, if you want to use the old pretense that liberals were all about social freedom and conservatives would have been about economic freedoms. Well,
yes.
To me, actually, that was perfect. Actually, the reason why there was such thing, you could use that binary aspect, was the fact that it depended on and what you wanted to particularly focus on. But either side of the equation, and the reason why that worked properly, and why you had, like I say, conservatives, classical liberals, or even libertarians, is the reason why that functioned is because all of them, they had a focus on freedom. It was just different areas in the social economic sphere, but that they were promoting freedom. But what you're seeing today,
Yes.
whether it's the entrenched or embedded establishment in terms of what they call conservatives or liberals, they're not looking to expand upon freedoms. They're now looking to expand on authoritarianism. And that's, to me, it's like you're not representing anything that these ideals or these ideologies were built and based or entrenched upon, which is why people are like, I don't know where I am. But I feel like my tribe has left me. It's not like people today or Canadians that are alive today have somehow shifted their own internal goalposts as far as their morality or their ethics. It's that the people that are supposed to be their thought leaders or their political or ruling class have shifted the goalposts to the point. It's like, well, I don't even know where the hell I align anymore, because you people have gone into some area where you're not even representing what you're supposed to mean. So to me, I love conservatives, the historical conservatives, that were saying let's stop using debt and deficit as a means to enslave our future successful generations. And I would usually be like, I love these guys because they understand economics. And the liberal, let's not keep throwing people that want to jam each other in the butt in prisons. Like, I'm not a big fan of that, but hey, they're not doing any harm to me. So what they do in the privacy of their own homes, like, well, do your thing, whatever, right? Who the fuck am I to tell other people how to live? I don't feel I should have that authority. That's bullshit. So that's why, like I say, a libertarian myself, I could go either side because I agree with the fundamentals of freedom, whether they come from the social or the economic sphere. The problem is today is both of these parties in the ruling establishment, none of them are representing freedom. They're basically, like you suggested or alluded to, they're authoritarians, and they're playing this collective game, and they're still trying to rest on the residual effects of what classical liberalism or conservatism means, so that they can get a lot of people to fall in line and say, well, you should identify as a conservative to support me. I'm saying to Canadians, stop playing these games. If they're not standing on the principles or of what their platform should truly entail, then you know that they're fakers. Don't support them. That's why I say that's why I'm showing more of my. I usually don't even choose to get involved with politics. I'm usually not even a voter. I'm one of those 35% of Canadians that usually sit on the sidelines. But you know what? Maxime stepped up to the table and said, you know what? I'm not going to play the political game. I'm going to allow classical liberals, libertarians, and genuine conservatives to actually get back to the fundamental principles that they espouse, and you just do what you do. Just don't use force or violence. Let's just get back to where we respect each other for our particular endeavors or our political leanings, but acknowledge the one main focus, the one main goal that we all have in common is achieving and attaining freedom. That's why I support Maxime Bernier and the PPC. Is I don't agree with everyone. I matter of fact, personally and individually, I'd probably have lots of disagreements with people from either side of that equation. But at the end of the day, I'll be a fellow traveler if at the end of the day we still have the same ultimate goal. And the people that are representative of the ruling establishment, whether the conservatives or the liberals, they're not the people that are fellow travelers. They want to create more authoritarianism and less freedom, which says that we're never going to be in anywhere where we're going to agree. We're traveling. We're polar opposites now, which is why you're seeing such a massive strife and a lot of divide in this country.
Absolutely. 100%. And I don't back any party. I vote. Yes, I do. I vote for the one who's got my best interests at heart. Now, in doing that, right now, I think, and I have to run here. It's 11 o'clock. I got to go do some stuff. It's 11 o'clock here in Alberta. I got to do some stuff with my kids. But what I want to say here, for the most part, is when it comes to this election this year, everybody, I don't care who the hell you vote for. I don't give a shit. I'm not going to say, I'm not going to sway your decision or tell you who the best one is to vote for. But what I can say is from the past, and we've watched the liberal governments tear this country apart from the inception of the Liberal Party. We've watched it in history, and we can't have another 4 years of Trudeau. If we have another 4 years of Trudeau, I'm sorry to say, but Canada, we're gone. We're done. And it's time, people. This is the biggest election of all right now in our history of Canada, next to the Red River Rebellion when Louis Riel formatted the rebellion against Sir John A. Macdonald in 1861, I believe it was. This is the time. This is exactly that moment. Canada needs to step up. We need to vote the proper government in. And I don't know who that government is right now. I really don't. I can't say PPC. I can't say CPC. I can't. Well, obviously, I'll never say fucking liberal. But at the same time, I just know that we need to encourage the voting, and we need to encourage people to get out there. That's the only way we can make change at this present time. I can say this much, though. Canada, we need a new constitution. We need electoral reform. Yes. And we need it bad, because by the time the vote is done in Ontario and it hits the Manitoba border, it's already decided. The West doesn't get a voice. Well, guess what? The West has been the loudest voice in all of this. And I want to say, Bennett, thank you so much for having me on your show. I really do appreciate it. I'm sorry I got to run. I got to take my kid to a fall festival carnival, and he's chomping at the bit here. So
for taking care of business. Actually, you know what? That just by saying that, Pat, tells me that you're a man of good stature, because priorities, right? And your kids and the future of your kids, and making sure that you're taking care of them. That's what it is to me, is to be, those kind of family values, and having that kind of proper articulation, how that is, that's a representation of a proper culture that I want to live in. And that's what Canada historically used to mean. So good for you for doing that. And thank you for joining me today. And like I said, I'm willing anytime you or Jay, any of you guys, if you ever want, just reach out to me anytime, and I'll give you the opportunity to say whatever you got to say. Hopefully the people
absolutely, I appreciate it.
Video, you understand that, like I say, Pat is just another gentleman that's willing to stand up in defense of the, not just the workers, but the freedoms for all of us in Canada. And you should really show some respect to this man. Actually, do you have any websites or anything, Pat, before you go, that you want anyone?
You can find me on, I've got a Facebook page. It's called Educate, Don't Aggravate. Right. As well as there's a bunch of other, the Canadian Patriot Party, which is Jamie Nix, who's the one who's doing all the voting, all the donations to the veterans. There's hundreds. There's hundreds of different web pages, but mine for myself is Educate, Don't Aggravate, and I'm all about teaching people and educating them on what is happening here in Canada, as well as what's happening around the world. And basically, it's vetted information, it's statistical information, it's the stuff that we get. That the general population of Canada needs to see and needs to understand, because we live in this bubble, and we've been raised in this bubble to understand, to think that the government has our best interests at heart, but we've learned that it's far from that. Far from that. So mine is Educate, Don't Aggravate. You can sign up on there, join it, send a friend request. My own personal Facebook pages and stuff, because I'm not that internet savvy. I had a YouTube channel for a while. It was going pretty good, but then I just kind of lost interest in it, and other things decided that. But Jay Riedel has his pages as well. Like I said, the Canadian Patriot Party. There's the Yellow Vest of Estevan, Saskatchewan. The biggest part of it all is educating the general population, because people don't really realize how bad things are. They're too busy working 9 to 5, paycheck to paycheck, just trying to make ends meet. And that's what's got us into this problem. That's what's got us into this level that we're at right now, is we've had to worry about our family and our Canadian cultures and stuff to keep food on the tables of our kids, and keep our kids clothed and fed and housed, that we never paid attention to the politics, because we were too busy trying to feed our families. Exactly. Well, now we have to now stand up, and we need to speak out, and Canadians need to get together and unite under one flag, the red and white, the maple leaf. We need to unite under that flag and hold this government accountable, and do what our forefathers have done and our veterans have done to keep us and give us these God-given rights that we have. And in order to maintain those, it's going to take people such as myself, such as you, Bennett, such as Jay Riedel, Jamie Nix, Dallas Hill, all of us that are trying to get this information out, Ed Jamnisek, Duke Willis, all of those people that are trying to get this information out to people. It's taking us to get out there and do this, and it's taking yourself to get out there and do this, because if we don't, we're in a lot of trouble. And we need to keep those Canadian core values at heart, and our culture here in Canada. We may be a multicultural nation, but we do have a culture, and it's called Canadians.
Thanks. Way to finish that off, Patrick. Perfect. And you know what? We Canadians, like you were saying earlier, from coast to coast, they've awoken the son of the majority. They've awoken the beast. And now, well, it's about time that they start recognizing that reality. Because, like I say, Pandora's box been open. You're not going to put it back now. So now let's try to get to the final point, because we're going to get there eventually. Let's get to that final point where we can walk away from our interaction, our engagements, our discussions, or our disagreements, where we're going to do it amicable and not use violence against each other. Because at the end of the day, like I say, whether you come from the right or the left, trust me, the ruling class, people such as Pat, people such as myself, yeah, you don't want to get into that kind of battle, because you're not going to win there. It's not, like I say, and actually nobody wins under that equation, under that kind of scenario. So let's start to engage in actual dialogue, and that's what I hope that will actually hope happen someday. Like I say, people that talk about in the media, that talk about people on the right, hey, I've talked to lots of people on the right, and they're more than willing to engage in dialogue. It's those people on the left, I'm still waiting for you dipshits to willing to step up the table. People like Pat have shown time and time again they're willing to engage in dialogue, and I'm hearing what he's saying, and it makes total sense to me. If you're on that left side, well, then step up and you do the same, and let's hear what you got to say. Until that point comes, you're just someone that's trying to function in a realm, in an echo chamber, and you just want to surround yourself with people that agree with you and aren't willing to actually engage in genuine discourse. And to me, if you aren't even willing to engage in discourse, then in the competitive field, whether it's politics or in using force at all, you're going to fail in every attempt in any undertaking or any endeavor that you try to attempt. But thanks, Patrick, for coming onto my channel. Like I said, I always appreciate having people, in particular like yourself. But if you're in, and seems how you seem to care about a lot about the veterans, if you want to watch tomorrow, I have Kelly Lawrence on the show at 1 p.m. Eastern time. He's a military vet himself. He's running as a member for PPC. Actually, he's going to be the candidate for PPC in Calgary Nose Hill. So he's going against Michelle Rempel. So that should be a pretty good conversation. But yeah, if you want to join us tomorrow, because once again, he'll be talking about some of those veteran issues as well. But thanks to everyone that did show up this. And thanks for Pat once again. Like I said, I'm always happy to have Pat. And hopefully next time, maybe you and Jay both will actually join onto the conversation. Because with this new platform we have here, StreamYard, I can bring as many on as you want. Actually, up to 8 nowadays.
Awesome.
And that would be actually a great conversation. I want to bring more and more of you people onto this channel, because
like you said it in the video that got me interested into your show and stuff. Like you say in that video, here's the line, fucking cross it.
Don't cross the motherfuckers, man. Because like I say, we're real nice people. We're very, very nice people until you cross that line. And then
you bet.
And actually, Jordan Peterson, I'm glad. One thing I'll say about Jordan Peterson, even though he's a psychologist, he's dealt with enough people over the course of his life, and he's even made that a representation of reality to people too. And hopefully he's sending that message is, yes, people have dual sides, every one of us. And Canadians I represent, we always want to bring out the better of ourselves. But no, there's a little bit of something in the background in every one of our psychology, that if we're challenged or if we're oppressed to the point where you leave us no choice or no obstacle or no area to escape, well, you don't want to really back us into a corner too far. That's not going to work.
Out comes the rabid pit bull.
Right? Yeah, that's not going to work out too well for anyone. But thanks again, Patrick. And you go have yourself a great day with your children, and we'll see you next
week. You bet. Thank you, Bennett.
Yeah.
Cheers.
So, hey, everyone, I really enjoyed it. I don't know about you folks, but I really, really enjoyed that conversation. It's funny. I seem to have a much more easy flowing conversation with people that are more blue collars. Maybe it's because I feel a little bit more of a close connection, because that is my history, right? But either way, very appreciative to have Patrick on the show today. Really enjoyed that. Let's see what everyone's doing in the chat, because obviously I'm sure you folks, well, of course, I didn't spend a whole lot of time in the chat, but now I'm going to try to make up for lost time. I'm going to start at the bottom, though, folks. So if you got anything new to say, I'm not going to go way up and start. Truth sharing mirror. What do you know about 33 other must be talking amongst each other. Oh, yeah. India landed on the moon. Was it India? No, I thought it was China. But yeah, I think India was. But hey, what's going on, David Forbes? Hey, what's going on there, David Forbes? Was good. Thanks, Leo. Hey, Leo, I know you're always, I'm just going to offer it here now, because I know you're always, you've asked, well, at least asked in the past if you want to come on to the show. Be willing to do that now if you want to. I'll send you a link if you want to join into the chat now. keep your flat earth and keep this to yourself. Oh, flat earth conversations. Just kidding. Patrick is yeah, he is. Yeah, seems like a really cool guy, right? Bennett, it's because most normal people are blue collar. Well, of course, right? You can't. Only a minority represents the corporate or the business class. That's just a reality, of course. Nice report, class guest, man. Thanks, Pornfire. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I like Patrick. Why do you think I believe they're only... Okay. Sorry about the spelling. What's new in the world of fake propaganda? I thought you guys were talking flat earth. Oh, must be in the chats. Nobody landed anywhere. Let's see here. Steve, you cannot educate ideologues. Well, it's sickening that socialism is pushed in schools. I agree. Research flat earth. Wow, this chat's going by quick. Rampo. Or I wonder, oh yeah, this chat might be a little behind. I'm looking at my YouTube channel here right now. Was good. So let's get back to StreamYards. Okay. All right. I'll send you a link there, Leo. Just give me 1 sec here, buddy. Oh, went by too fast here. Okay. So let me just go find you on the message. So I'll be sending it to your Twitter. Someone else sent me a message. Okay. Oh, it's Kelly Lawrence. So let me check here real quickly. Sorry, I'm doing this on the fly, buddy. Today we have everyone push it 3 p.m. Eastern. So just let you know before I actually bring you on there, Leo. So Kelly Lawrence, the guy I'm going to be doing the interview tomorrow, said, watch for something from MM. Okay, I'm going to have to open this up. Okay. Sharon's sister upstairs, hashtag Bernie Nation, hashtag let Max speak. So it's a Twitter. Okay, let me try this. Okay, I'm going to share this, folks. Kelly Lawrence sent this to me in a Facebook message, and we're supposed to be watching for something coming out of, I guess, from this Twitter account, I would only assume, at 3 p.m. Eastern. So let me share that in the stream. I'll click on that. Yeah, so if you click on this, well, you'll probably have to copy and paste it, right? But if you do that, apparently there's something that's going to be happening at 3 o'clock that Kelly has sent as a message. So let me go back to Leo. Okay, Leo, okay, here we go. And then I'm just going to really quickly, as soon as I send you this link, Leo, just give me 1 minute because I'm going to go spring a lake so we have some time to chat. Or actually, no, I'm fine now. Let me just send this stream here. I'm fine for now. Okay, here's the link, Leo. There you go, buddy. And let me get back to this chat. Round or flat, none of us are leaving this. Oh, thanks, Linny Al. Great video. Thanks. Appreciate that. Yeah. Every other planet is round, and it's us that has to be the pancake. Exactly. Like, as some of those own telescopes, right? It's like they all look pretty. It's like, whatever. That's so crazy. Do some of your own research, if not here to spoon feed it to anyone. Oh, truth sharing mirror. Okay, so that must be someone that's talking about the whole flat earth thing. Take your time. It's devolved, this chat. Well, we're round but flat in their opinion. That whole flat earth thing's like, what the, even whether it's round or flat for most people, what the fuck does that even mean to you? It's like, is it just a matter because you just want to argue for the sake of argument? It's weird. How about worrying about your freedoms? Prioritize, right? I swear to God, we got into outer space and it's flat. I want to deny the truth. Well, of course. Build a wall. David, do you think Trump is ever going to build a wall? Actually, I believe they're already in the midst of building walls. Wasn't it some CIA or FBI funds? They've been moving and shifting funds around, I believe, down there to kind of make it happen kind of behind the scenes. As far as I know. As far as I know. Okay. If you're English, the top of your head is flat. Or is the wall just in our hearts? Yeah, he just got $3.5 billion from Pentagon budget. Yeah, I thought something about that. Yeah, there was some money. Yeah, I think it might have been that $3.5 billion. That's Steve saying, because I do remember something coming in where he's getting money. Like I say, Trump misdirects. Get the attention here while he's there to the deal, right? I believe that flat earthers need to believe that because they need to believe that God exists and that their lives has meaning. If not, they're just living a living organism in a small planet. Really? I don't pay much attention to flat earthers, but are they predominantly religious God believers? Because if that is the case, and I can't offer any experience myself, but that was never the case in the past. Most of the people, because I come from a religious family, most of the people in my religious family and most of the people that I've ever understood or known that to be religious under Christianity, I should say, is no one believed in the flat earth. No, I don't know any Christian that believes in the flat earth theory. So I don't know what kind of religion they believe in, Gato, but might be just my own personal subjective and anecdotal experience. But I've never even in, like I say, in any representation of those who are proponents of Christianity, I've never even heard any pretense where they're believers of the flat earth theory. So don't know where you're getting that premise from, but maybe that's a new thing. Maybe it's a new thing. Like I say, I've been out of touch with a lot of people that are predominantly part of the religious community because I don't necessarily go to a church. My relationship with God, it's a personal thing for me. It's not just going to a structured environment in some church, right? Growing up in those scenarios, like a lot of the people that are, churchgoers, a lot of them are hypocrites. So like I say, I made my relationship with God. It's a personal thing, not necessarily through a particular structure or not denomination of Christianity in terms of a particular church. So I don't know what's going on there in the churches today. Are they flat earthers? I don't know. Sounds weird, but he builds a roof. Builds a roof. I hope if Bernie gets elected, he builds a roof. It's written in the Bible. Oh, then it must be true, right? Not necessarily, obviously. It ties in with the Christian thing. It's another psyop to divide. Ooh, everything's a psyop. Let's think for a moment. What makes more sense? Helping each other or false belief that we can go to space? Huh? I think you could probably do both. It probably is, Mr. Ben. I'm not there yet. It's all good. They surely don't believe in physics if they believe that we live on a flat disk surrounded by a dome with the sun as big as a Cadillac going around the disk. He sits above the circle of the earth with the sky stretched. Oh, you guys, well, come on. Come on. Surely we can do better than flat earth arguments in the chat. Ready when you, okay. I didn't send I thought I already sent the link. Oh, okay. Oh, here we go. There he is. What's going on, Leo, buddy? Hold on. Let me send you here, buddy. There we go. Oh, wait. No, there we are. Okay. Wait for it. There we go.
Ah, there I am.
Okay, let me pull this back out a little bit here so we're not so close up. What's going on?
Yeah,
there?
sure, man. Hey, how you doing, bud?
What's on your shirt? That's a Canadian flag, and what's the one below it? PPC?
Oh, back there? Yeah.
No, on your hat.
Oh, on my hat.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So this is a guy from Twitter, Mayday Matrix. He makes these.
Nice.
So it's the Canadian Punisher.
Okay.
On the back, it's got, I don't know if you can see that, but it's got the PPC logo and all that on there.
Sweet. I like it.
Yeah. And then he made this especially for me. I'm just going to turn it here.
Yeah, that's pretty badass.
Critical thinker on it for me. So
that's badass, actually. I really like that.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, he'll make you one.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'll have to actually check into that because even though I don't wear hats a whole lot, I do have lots of hats.
Yeah.
I'm one of those people that I got like racks or like a whole bunch of hats, but other than, well, you know, those days where you just like, fuck it, I'm just throwing a hat on. Right?
Yeah, well, that's today.
Yeah, nice. Awesome. So how you been, Leo, man? I know you've been doing pretty good. Your channel's growing. I see you're doing great.
Yeah, it's been coming along pretty decent. You know, I'm just chugging along, just doing me, and yeah, just trying to get the message out like you know, doing what we can to try and educate people. I really enjoyed Pat, your last guest, his you know, what he put out there. That's exactly the same message that I try to portray is, look, you don't go out there and fight with people, just educate them and you know, step into the same path that they're in. Otherwise they're just going to resist. Right. So I really love the message. That was a great, so I appreciate, you know, patriots like that being out there. So
I do too. And like I said, I've always thoroughly enjoyed people like him that come from that very blue collar background. Actually, you know, it's crazy. I people like that, I just feel that's actually the best free flowing conversation I ever have are people that don't have, as far as I'm concerned, don't have any pretense other than just trying to figure shit out. Don't have, you know, not just an ideology, but you know, something they're trying to corner as far as the market, where they're trying to manipulate people. To me, Pat comes across as one of those people. He's just someone that he's a concerned Canadian, right? And to me, that's the kind of people that I love to give a platform to, because like I said, when I was talking to him, it is that blue collar backbone, or that the people that actually do produce so much in society. Those are the people that are predominantly being left behind today.
Absolutely.
Under this structure, which is why I want to reach out to those people. Like I'm sure there's business leaders that are going through some hardship because of cronyism and corporatism and big government dictating, controlling how they can do their business. And I still, like I say, I'll still give all those people and afford them the opportunity to step onto my stage, onto my platform, and say what they got to say as well. But like I say, that relationship, just like I was saying with Pat, is we got to get to the point where whether you're a business leader or an entrepreneur, is stop using your working class and to sacrifice them at the altar of just cozying up or going along to get along in this massively corrupt system. Because if you keep doing that, and as it continues, well, you have generations of people that don't even have the proper entrepreneurial spirit anymore. You've beaten that the hell out of them, right? I don't want Canadian people to just submit to go along, get along. I want them to still be innovative and creative and have ambitions. And like I say, it doesn't matter if you're the owner of a business or someone that's on the other side of that equation, because that's someone that's owned business myself, is there's the employer and the employee, but it requires both. I mean, I might have created the business, I might have put in the original investment, the capital, but without someone else to help provide and produce what I produce as an employer, I'm just someone I've got a great idea, but how does that idea actually come to fruition? Come fruition is because of the working class. So that's the part for me is like, let's stop fighting each other. Yeah. Let's, like I say, let's start focusing our attention and our vitriol towards the people that aren't producing anything. They're the ones that are sitting on all of our backs, right?
That's right.
Whether you're the business leader or the employees underneath you, there's a bunch of dipshit, overweight, underworked bureaucrats that are sitting on our shoulders and causing a whole lot of us to have to work a whole lot harder than we have to provide for them. Get them the fuck off our shoulders and off our backs, right? Because then you feel that reprieve, then you'll feel you have a little bit more to work with your employees, and you won't feel so like you have to, like I say, with that scenario I said earlier, where the shit goes downhill, where you just got to have to keep placing the shit, because the person at the bottom of the pile, the employee, that's where that shit's going to pile up. But you're not going to have the most productive employees if you keep placing them in a scenario where they got to run back and forth or wade through shit.
Yeah. No, and you know what? I guess just kind of going backwards a little bit on that, Bennett. I'm just thinking about, you know, what you said, basically to me, that's the silent majority. So the blue collar, where, you know, it's I just seen someone in your chat there say that a while ago, that I don't want to actually be a part of this conversation. I just want to be left alone. And that's how we got into this mess. Everybody just sat back and said nothing. You just, you know, all you did was just expect everybody else to do something for you. And what ended up happening is these we'll call it lefties, but it's those people with that minority view. They became vocal, and they started steering the narrative where they wanted it to go. And we just sit back at the water cooler saying, you know, that really sucks, but you don't do anything about it. So you become that silent majority. Then the next part I wanted to talk to you about was I think I did a video about this, but basically how those thought leaders right now are you know, politicians, for instance, they're using us as commodities. We say nothing, but they trade us around like commodities, and all they just want us to follow blindly like sheep and do what we're told. And that's where we've become. We've become this silent little, it's like gold. You're pure gold to me. As long as you back me and believe me and don't question anything and be a good little backer, I can do whatever I want. And no matter how much pain I cause you, you'll just keep doing it. You know, just like suckers out there. And that's what, you know, like yourself, I appreciate you doing it. And all these other people out there, like your last guest, Pat, I mean, get out there and start using your voice. You sit at home, these guys are going to walk all over us. And that's, we got to take it back, take control back.
Well, when you mentioned we are a commodity, that's not just metaphorically speaking.
Right.
That is a representation of reality.
Absolutely.
And unfortunately, the West still have the ability, because, well, the U.S. is the world reserve currency, and there's a lot of ability to manipulate things on that macro scale. But we're still seeing, and I've said this in my past videos, we have $15 trillion. Now, fortunately, the five, you know, dominant Western societies, so Canada, the U.S., England, Australia, and New Zealand, we're still, for the most part, now, but this, once again, only if you're talking about stripping out inflation. Strip out inflation are bonds, which a bond, what is a bond? A government bond is just a representation of, you're going to invest in the productivity of the chattel, right? The productive class in society, and hopefully get some kind of return in the future, whether it's in 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, or whatever. But we're almost right now, even though we're not in total negative yield territories in terms of the actual numbers, even though there's 15 trillion in terms of the West, you know, when you include Europe and Japan and a lot of these other countries, that all of our productivity, all that we provide in society, aren't even being evaluated to be actually worth anything. Now people are having to be in, because of $15 trillion worth of those bonds are in negative yield. You have to pay. You have to be willing to lose money to invest in, you know, the Canadian tax slaves, right? It's like, what the fuck? What the hell? Why? Where the hell did we ever get to the point where everything that we produce in society, and like I say, the West so far, I mean, our rates aren't at zero. They're not a negative territory, but actually they are if you compare it to the actual inflation rate. So when they say negative rates, that's even with inflation counted in the equation. Today, let's say our rates are at 1% as far as, you know, bond yield, or 1.75%. Well, if inflation is higher than that, then you're getting a negative return, even though it's not actually negative. You're getting a negative return on your investment. And what your investment, if you're buying bonds, government or corporate bonds in Canada, is that's saying that you're willing to accept a loss. That's willing to accept the fact by saying that all that shit that all those people produce and provide in society aren't even going to be worth as much as they are today. They're going to be worth less tomorrow. What kind of environment, like I say, carry that scenario forward for the next 20, 30 years. What kind of environment do you think you're living in, where people's productive capacity, their labor, their entrepreneur is not only is it not being properly rewarded and compensated for, but it's now in negative yielding territory? How many more people are going to want to be productive when you can't benefit or get any economic benefit from all that productivity?
That's right.
It's a recipe for disaster for the future.
I mean, that's exactly it. You know, the ROI on a lot of this stuff it's absolutely negative. And the system's been designed with inflation. We've come to accept inflation as a natural part of an economy, and it's not. No, you're right. So basically, my dollar today can buy me something, and then they say, well, the dollar's only worth 70 cents. Well, now I have to work harder to make. I'm still making the same money. But now they're making my ability to attain things and attain a value of life less. So the more inflation goes and the less you're compensated properly with that, it just becomes eventually that the scales go farther and farther apart, and we end up like Venezuela, where the paper's worth no more than toilet paper.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm a big proponent of something like the gold standard, where you do have protection. You can only print so much money depending on the gold you have. And it's obvious that, you know, Trudeau doesn't believe in that because he sold all of our gold. So he wants no backing. So basically we're going to be looking elsewhere for some sort of backing. That's what's up for grabs here. And I don't think people understand that. Our resources are on attack. I mean, they're trying to devalue our resources. They're trying to devalue our thoughts, our Canadian values, period. Everything about Canada, they want us to feel is nothing. We have no core values. He keeps saying that.
The West is being completely undervalued.
Absolutely.
It's not just their currency, but like you say, our psychology, everything that the West represents is being greatly undermined and devalued. And that's the part that drives me nuts, is because, I mean, like I say, whether you want to talk about a light bulb or anything that has been produced in society, think of how far we have come. I mean, if you were the first person that undertook the endeavor of trying to create and invent the light bulb, you put a whole lot of initial investment and work before you ever got $1 back, right? But we are 100 years removed from that, or, you know, even further than 100 years. But even if you took 100 years far removed from that, a light bulb today, because of all the increases in our productivity and our ability to get these resources to the market, you know, much easier, cheaper transportation costs, big, gigantic, these ships that cross the oceans with tens of thousands of containers on. A light bulb today should cost mere pennies, right? But no, because of all, whether you're talking about barriers to trade, tariffs, you know, cronyism, corporatism, all these government initiatives that cause all that flow of the economic compensation to go to one particular area, which is at the very top. Now these
pyramid scheme
costs that are imposed upon us are in an exorbitant amount that should not be a reflection of reality. That to me is the biggest problem, is every time the market innovates and creates to make things cheaper, the central planners are like, oh, now that's what they look at it. Every time we create more productivity, is there's an area, there's a chunk of wealth where they feel that they can, oh, well, look, that didn't exist before all these amazing minds created this wealth by, like I say, by innovating and being more productive with whatever capital that they put up front. So all that economic benefit that the innovators, that the creators created, the ruling class, the thief, the parasites, they're taking more and more. They're siphoning off larger and larger and leaving a smaller portion to be divvied up to whether it's the working class or the corporate class, which is why the corporate class and the working class are fucking fighting against each other all the time. And it's like, you stop, you're fighting against each other, but how about you stop rather than fighting each other? How about you focus on those fucking assholes over there in government that had they weren't part of that equation at all, but they're the ones that are siphoning off all that productive wealth that you both created. Because the business owner, you helped to create it. You were an innovator, you created the idea, but your work brought that to fruition. Stop fighting each other and fucking tell these dipshits that are keep plundering all that economic prosperity or devaluing it through their central bank policies. Cause them to be the focus of your attention. Stop fighting amongst each other, for Christ's sakes. That's my biggest thing.
Oh, I agree with you. And that's on every level, from politics to, you're right, to economy, to the people you work for, the Walmarts, everything. I mean, we're under attack that way. It's just getting it's ridiculous what we're seeing out there. And I just have a hard time grasping it sometimes that people, you know, I guess we're not all privy to what's happening out there, and you do have to do the research, and I appreciate your channel for that. You do expose a lot of these things. And, you know, I just, people need to understand that everything that you see out there in the news, it's a war, and it really is a war. So You know, we've got the whole electricity war. We think it's to save the planet, but it's actually these people who have invested in that infrastructure, who own that infrastructure, they want their shit to be the top of the pile now. They feel it's their turn to be siphoning off of the rest of us, right? So, I mean, is their intention really, you know, to save the planet, or is it to fill their pockets, right? So same thing with natural gas. They've been dumping natural gas down so long, they've got it cheap enough where over the years they've been stockpiling everything they can for the infrastructure and to own the resources. And now all of a sudden, oh, oil's bad. Let's go over here to this beautiful resource, natural gas. And we are stupid enough to fall for the fact that, oh, well, yeah, we're saving the planet. Let's get rid of coal. Let's get rid of all that. And let's build new infrastructure to help these guys out. We're saving the planet. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
There's so much great technology out there, even coal itself. We've gotten to the point where we're able to scrub the exhaust, make the emissions, like we're still doing way better than anything out there as far as, you know, non-Northern American, as you know, as far as I'd like to see it, using these cheap resources. Coal is so cheap. Why do you think China's pulling it in? They're building on this. Generators, they're not stopping.
Well, you know,
we're not helping anything.
No, I hear you, buddy. And I'm glad you brought up the environmental thing, because actually that was something I was going to cover in a future video, but everyone's going to get a little bit sneak peek to that today.
Perfect.
I was watching Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
I know that's a bit of a negative connotation. Listen, Joe messed up a little bit because I get it. He's trying to. Hey,
come on. You got pissed off when I called you Bennett.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that, by the way.
He punched into the belly of the beast out there in Los Angeles, Southern California. So I got to give him a little bit of break from time to time. But hey, it's all right to do a little bit of it.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Anyways, he had Neil deGrasse Tyson, and I like I say, to me, I don't care. I recognize Neil. He comes from, he's worked for government for most of his life, right? But once again, he still seems like someone that's more about scientific endeavors. And at the end of the day, I still like to hear what gentlemen like him have to say, because once again, I realize that even though he might delve into the politics a little bit, I at least like to hear what someone that has a scientific mind, because to me, that's a proper way to educate and inform myself. Yeah. So when I was listening to this, and it was about 16 minutes into the video, so it was quite early on, actually, I heard him talking about, in terms of, water when it freezes, and he was talking about pipes. And this is something that actually a lot of people that are watching this show today, you'll know this yourself. And it's so true. So we've heard all this rhetoric from the media or the pundit class where they're talking about the polar ice caps. Oh, the polar ice caps are melting. And as these polar ice caps melt, it's going to cause a massive flooding on the low-lying plains of North America or lots of places around the world, because, as polar ice caps melt, they say, well, that's going to cause an automatic increase in the level of our seas or our oceans. Well, it's like, based on what Neil deGrasse Tyson, and I mean, a lot of people from the left side of that political equation are going to say that, he's like the modern Jesus in terms of their scientific knowledge, right? So I'm like, okay, well, let's just go with that. If Neil deGrasse Tyson is someone that we should conform our minds to as far as understanding science, it's like, well, then did you watch Joe Rogan's podcast? Because Neil deGrasse Tyson said, and I'd actually agree with him because I've witnessed this myself, is actually as water freezes, it expands. That's why if you've ever been, and I had my house one year when I didn't have anyone living in it, when I had to move out of there, my pipes exploded. I actually had this really happen, and I did, because my house is an older house. It does have the old copper lines that are just braided together. And what happened is it split the motherfuckers apart. That's the thing. If you think about it properly, and based on what Neil deGrasse was saying, and it makes sense to me, I'm not a scientist and never played one on TV, but if water expands when it freezes, well, it either has to be the same it can't expand when it cools, or when it melts, right? If it expands when it freezes, well, it can't do the exact same thing in the opposite direction. Right. So if the water, and basically what he was saying is, when the water or when the ice crystallizes melts. Yeah. Actually, he said you could put you could take a glass like this. He said you could fill it right to the top and put an ice cube so it's just a little bit above water, because we all understand about 10% of the ice, because of the water bubbles that are contained within it. The air trap in it. Just a little bit above surface. But he said even after that ice melts, no water will pour out of your glass. That's what he said. And I'm sure he's done scientific experiments to get to that point, you would think, right? This man has actually done an experiment to prove that case. So if that's the case, well, then if the water melts and it doesn't actually increase the level so it'll overflow over this glass, well, then where's that actual scientific construct of when the polar ice cap melts, all of a sudden these low-lying regions are going to flood?
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense to me. And I'm, like I say, I'm not a scientist. I'm just going by someone that supposedly has a lot of knowledge.
It's very true.
Stick
a beer can in the freezer. Stick a beer can in the freezer and see what happens. I'm sure people have forgotten one of them. You want to cool off your beer, then you come back and it's like, oh shit, look at it. It's all over my friggin' freezer. What happened? Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Oh, and then you start eating the slush off of the.
It's an experiment that every one of us can do, right?
Yeah.
So rather than rely on rhetoric,
yeah,
that's what I love about science.
Yes.
You know, gravity, the proper thing with science, that's the thing. Neil deGrasse was trying to play politics a little bit, but at least he's acknowledging the underlying aspects of science, which proper science to me is I can test your hypothesis.
Yes.
If I have the tools,
I have to prove it again. I have to prove it that I can replicate it.
Prove that exactly. No matter if I'm here in Canada or in Tokyo or in Africa, sub-Saharan, I should be able to prove that gravity actually. And if I can test your hypothesis without just listening to your rhetoric, then I know that it is universally consistent.
Absolutely. And then the whole man and Bell, right? I mean, if you've been watching that, so now Bell is basically, you know, they've said to man, look, you lost the court case, right? Because you can't provide the actual backing of your experiment or of your hockey stick graph, if you will. And Bell has been saying, look, I've seen the parameters that you've used, and it's not true, right? You're not taking everything into account, which was the sunshine, I believe, is what he was saying, wasn't taken into account, and that's huge. Yeah, right. It's huge. So you can come to any conclusion you want if you spin things a certain way, and that's why a large part of the reason I called my channel Critical Thinker is because I'm trying to invoke people to do that. Right? Don't believe me. Don't believe Bennett. Exactly. Anything that Bennett says, I can go out and find that for myself. Yep. I mean, and if it's bullshit, I'm going to come on Bennett's show and say, Ben, you're full of shit. All right.
That would be the best thing you could do, actually.
Yeah. Because absolutely.
If I'm spreading bullshit needlessly, it's different. I might.
Well, you believe it.
I might do that if someone's paying me to do it because I'm being rewarded. But because I do everything that I do predominantly for free, other than the fact that I'm monetizing my video, which minimal. It's like, trust me, I'm not doing it for money. But yes, if I'm wrong, actually, the best thing I could ever ask for anyone, whether you're my opponent or a friend, is if you're a friend, I'd say tap me on the back. Maybe don't do it publicly, but but even if you got to do it publicly, I'm even on board with that, because I might have to work through that for a while. I'm like, okay, sorry guys, I was wrong. But I'm humble enough that I'm willing to do that. That's actually that, and that's what, to me, if whether I'm, like I say, whether I'm talking about politics, economics, social interactions, or science, is the only thing that we can hold each other to account is having the ability to do so. And like I say, if someone comes up with a better understanding or a philosophical or a principled premise that proves mine to be wrong, then I won't look at that as, oh man, you've destroyed my ideology. I'll look at it as, oh, thank you. Now you place me in a position where I'm not going to be I might be ashamed of that moment because someone is, but at least I'm not going to be shamed every other time. So, like I say, I want someone to break me free from my wrong think, so that I not keep propagating that after, because if I'm continually making the same mistake over and over again, or espousing rhetoric that has been already proven or debunked to be bullshit, no one's helping me by me allowing to do that. That's the thing with these people on the left, is you're not even helping us by circling your wagons and saying, I'm going to support you, even though I know you're wrong. I'm going to support you because you're part of my tribe. You're not helping those people if you're not, because of feels. Actually, the best thing you can do to your fellow peeps is to hold them to a fairly high standard. That's what
absolutely,
I do. And that's why I seemingly constantly find myself aligned with people that want to identify on the right side. It's not that I've chosen a political side. It's just that it seems to be the people that are predominantly from that right side of the political equation. That want to hold themselves to that kind of standard. And if that's, like I said, I want the lefties, I want them to do the exact same thing. But so far, I'm not seeing any of them step up the table. And it's not like I haven't given them the opportunity. Like I said in my past video, was the one I had my conversation on Thursday, is with Mark Perolovis. for all of us, right?
Mark for all of us.
I love to bring these lefties, right? Some of these CBC, I love bring me on to your channel, your program someday. We'll talk about it, but you're not seeing that happening, right? So that's
you don't want to see the echo chamber, right? You don't want to become, and that's what I actually just made a video about that, Bennett, basically kind of calling people out a bit, that we don't want to be ideologues here. We don't want to just become our echo chambers. And challenge me, challenge your buddy, challenge anyone. But we can't just keep patting ourselves on the back and saying, we're doing great, guys. We need to go out there and challenge this, so it's not rhetoric. Go out there and talk to someone out from a opposing party or belief and challenge your ideas with them. And it's not to be a fight. It's there to say, okay, well, this is where I stand. Where do you stand? And then that's where the conversation starts, right? Yep. I mean, we kind of talked about that. I know when I had Kelly Day on the channel, and you came in, we were talking about libertarian, and we kind of felt, she has a sort of idea of where she stands on it, and I have an idea where I stand on it, and we know, like, you're the pure gold libertarian, which is fair. I mean, we're not here to say what it is. We're just saying there's certain facets that I can dig in on that, but I don't believe in this or that or the other thing, and maybe there's different ways that you view it as well. But actually, at the end of the day, we have some common ground.
Yeah, but can I respond to that? Because actually,
absolutely, please do.
And actually, me and Kelly should talk here soon. Actually, sent me a message. Actually, 2 wicked voice messages on my Facebook page. I love Kelly, I really do.
She's great.
But like I say, when it comes to libertarianism, what it is, and I'm not blaming her or you. It's just they've been given the wrong, libertarianism has been, because of the people that stand for individual, is a lot of people are trying to misrepresent what libertarianism means. And all libertarianism properly means, because actually it was never even meant to be properly a political endeavor.
Absolutely,
Libertarianism is a philosophical endeavor. It's a pursuit of knowledge in terms of governance. That's all libertarian is if we're going to live in a particular area and have anything that's remotely resembling a state, what does that mean? So, as fundamental premises of what it is to be a free human being, the very prerequisites that requires to be free is, number one, self-ownership, not slavery. Like, I own me. My body, absolutely. And by natural extension, if we're going to accept and adopt that very fundamental principle of self-ownership, then property rights. So everything that I produce or provide society that's a natural extension of my body or my mind is that property is the rights of that is just by sheer fact that, yes, I produced and provided that to society. So that's mine. That's mine. Nobody claims ownership over something that I provided. And those are so universally consistent that I have yet to this day, I've never met one human being that actually said to my face that if I provide something, someone else should have claim over that. Now, when they get into government, then they'll make an excuse for that. But once again, that's their own internal logic that's fucking up. I agree. I'm saying what a libertarian is using a very scientific methodology in terms of morality and ethics. Right? So we've taken the metaphysics and the epistemology. I mean, libertarians have already covered that part. But even if you just deal with the ethics and morality, is just if these things are of genuine paramount importance to be a free human being, which is self-ownership, and like I say, never anyone disagree with that, and by natural extension, everything I provide, and then take that third and that final leg of libertarianism, which is the non-aggression principle, which is I should never use violence, preemptive violence or force towards people. Just take those 3 combinations of proper moralities and ethics and then expand that out. So like when you're talking about government or how business interactions or social all a libertarian does is say, just like if you were doing math, if 2 + 2 is 4, well, then you can say that 888 plus blah, blah, blah. You're going to get the same equation because you're following the same formulation. So all a libertarian does properly is use that same baseline fundamental principle, which is the non-aggression principle, self-ownership, and property rights, and expand that out universally. And if you expand that out universally, you don't cause logical contradictions or mysticism to enter your logic. If you do that properly and you articulate it, then actually, in reality, and the people that follow my channel know this,
Yeah.
Actually, to be honest with you, and this might shock some of the new people, but there's no such thing as even what we call today government. There's no, it's still built on a mystical concept. But once again, I understand that most people don't follow through that logic completely. So it's not say we're going to upset the apple cart and get people so that government's going to cease to exist tomorrow. But all a libertarian saying, all I'm saying when I say I'm being logically consistent, just like if you were Galileo and saying, hey, by the way, the earth isn't the center of the universe. There's this thing called the sun, and it's a star, and actually we're just part of a planetary system or a solar system. So whether Galileo pointed out the truth, how that unfolded generations after that, I don't know. Like even me as a libertarian, I don't know by telling Canadians the truth. I don't know how they're going to use that, right? But all I'm saying is the best thing I can do if I'm going to properly try to articulate what it is to be a free human being, I'm going to give you that basis of knowledge. And what you do with that, I don't know. I'm not a politician. I'm not your ruler.
That's fair.
I'm not a central planner. One thing I will do is I won't skirt around the issues. I'm going to give you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And then what you do with it, I don't know.
But it's the truth as you see it, right? And I guess that's what I'm getting at.
No, but it's not even as I see it, because I deal with universally consistent reality. Anyone that's ever challenged me, if you want to, like, I'll even give you the opportunity right now, Leo. If you want to put forth a premise to make government legitimate, then we'll just do this. And I have like 4 questions. Is all I have to ask. And
I completely understand where you're coming from there, Bennett. And it's not that I disagree with you at all. I mean, I'm with you on that. But I think the premise, and you know, I've had the discussion with other people about that, and where it kind of leads to, and maybe you're right, it's just misinformation. But that's why I have to stand clear. There's so much misinformation about it, and I appreciate you clearing it up. But you know, they then say, well, then you're for open borders, you're for this, you're for that. But you can see where it stems from. What you're saying is it's all about a personal responsibility, right? Yeah. It's all about me. So I really don't need a border because everybody has their border. This is where it stems. And I'm not saying I agree with that. Yeah. And I'm not saying you do.
Right.
I'm just saying this is how this whole misinformation comes around. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I was saying this yesterday on the stream. I hate the labels. I hate using all that because this is where it comes from. Everybody has a different view and identification of what that label is. Well, what's a libertarian? Oh, that's that guy that believes with open borders. They believe everybody should have, but you understand what I'm saying? So I don't disagree with you being that. And it's up for you to do that. And I'm glad you're clarifying it because people need to hear that. Yeah. But that's why I skipped the whole thing and saying, I'm not necessarily a libertarian, but I believe in a lot of the values that a libertarian is built on. Right. Yeah. Well, that's even myself. Like I say, I don't even accept that we're ever going to get to the same point as far as understand these things at the same time. That would be weird because that means we're like the Borg and we're all fucking hardwired in. Well, that's the left right now, right? That's that label, right? Yeah, we're not hardwired into the hive mind. Yes, I know that I'm going to have to put a lot of work and effort to convince you based on just logic, right? Yeah. So that's the thing. Now, if I was a lefty or an authoritarian, I wouldn't worry about trying to construct my premises or my ideas in a universally consistent manner. I just say, no, this is what it is, and you better fucking believe it, buddy. Right? Well, and they do, right? That's the problem. They don't challenge the authority. They're too lazy to go out and do the research on their own. So they look at their phone and say, oh, yeah, Trudeau will, for the middle class. Yeah, I'm the middle class, so I'm voting for Trudeau. Awesome. Right. But that's the whole Borg mentality. Yeah. They don't think for themselves. They don't assert themselves and they don't care. They sit by the water cooler and I'm just going to whatever, you know, and it's just so frustrating to talk to people like that. It is. You know, get a goddamn opinion on something. Let's start with something instead of reading your phone and believing it. Challenge it. Right. And I'll tell you, even just for me personally, let me tell you, once you start down this, I mean, people got lots of terminology they use, whether they want to call it red pilling or going into a deep dive. But, you know, these are things that are, like I say, just try it. I know it's scary at first, right? Because it means a lot of the stuff that has been jammed in your head, it means you have to be willing. But it does take a person that has at least, you have to have a fairly open mind. To be willing to challenge some of your orthodoxy because it's hard. I'll even admit myself, like,
to break through some of that shit that I was indoctrinated with as a kid, it was disturbing, man. It caused me to place myself in a mindset where it's like, oh man, now I don't even know how to think about things, right? Well, it takes time. And like I say, I think everyone's going to have to do it in your own way. I can't tell you how to do it.
Nope.
But at the very least, if you want to have at least a good grasp and understanding so that people are coming at things in terms of politics, to me, I just want to give you all the tools that are needed. I'm not saying you even have to agree with me everything on that. It might take some time, but I want to give you the tools intellectually so that you're in interacting and engaging with people on that political realm, that you at least understand things from the philosophical premise. Because politics, like I say, that's much fucking easier. If you have a firm grasp on the philosophical, ethical, like I said, the metaphorical, the epistemology, what it is to be free, if you can remove as much mysticism from your mind where things don't have any consistent in terms of how you get from point A to B, if you can remove as much of that from your mind as humanly possible, then you'll be able to interact and engage with anybody, and no one will have to, like me, I can have a conversation with anyone. I don't need someone to like tell me how I should set up my conversation.
Right.
I just know because I'm going to rely on those fundamental principles, just like my math. I don't know what the question someone might ask. It might be like, what's 1,953,264 times 2 million, blah, 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 and then subtract. I don't know what the question they're going to ask, but as long as I've got a formulation, at least on the other side of the equation, the person that understands the formulation will be the one that will come to the right answer, right? And the right answer, if you're talking about governance, which is all about, whether like in terms of people's human freedom, is how do you get to freedom? And libertarians, and it's not just libertarians, like because Aristotle, Socrates, Plato, these people would have never identified themselves as libertarians. They were just critical thinkers that were questioning orthodoxy and the status quo in their time frame. So, like I said, I don't care if you want to use a label, like I'm saying with you, Leo. You don't have to use the term libertarian. You can just call yourself whatever the hell you want. But if you're willing to think critically on the issues, it's not about the label. It's not about ad. It's not about the salesmanship. It's about formulation. And if you're using the same
core values
formulation and the core values, if you're using that same formulation to derive your answers, then I don't care what you call yourself.
Well, and that's true. And that's, I guess that's kind of where I'm going with that. And then, I just wanted to talk about the whole, I guess we sort of dabbled in it a bit. You were saying,
go do your own thing, man. Because like I say, I've already covered my
okay. But you were just talking about, if we have the conversation and I call you out and said it's bullshit, which is it's not meant to be demeaning, but you were saying you'd struggle a little bit, and that's because we've got this ego huge, and it's sitting there on our in our forethought, and that is what's controlling us, and it's the fight and flight, and it's the whole cognitive dissonance. It is. And a lot of people, the hurt people, that's where they're sitting at right now. And if you challenge that frame of thought with them, they just go into the protection mode, right? Well, don't you challenge me, you racist bastard. That's it. I'm going to expose you, because they don't want to feel that pain. They don't want to go through that thought process, just like you said. And that's what, I guess, becoming critical thinker or libertarian, whatever the case is, right? You're willing to listen to it, hear it, and say, why am I so pissed off about what he just said? Bennett just told me I spelled his name wrong, and what an asshole for telling me that. Oh, well, I guess I did spell it wrong. Oh shit, I got to think about this for a minute. Yeah, I'm an idiot. I spelled it wrong. Yeah, sorry, man. Right? It's just that simple. But when you're all pissed off about it,
my name wrong, I actually wouldn't even be overly concerned with that.
Oh no, I'm just. It's an example.
I get what you were saying, but especially well, in particular when we're talking about governance, right? It's like
absolutely.
I mean, how much more important should it be that we're consistent in our views and our principles when it comes to how we, because government, once again, is a representation of monopoly. If we're going to force, I mean, at the very least, let's restrict that and contain that to where we actually should be using force against each other, right? Like I said, I'm still not a fan of giving the premise of certain individuals have that ability to take possession of that gun, because once again, you don't know who those people will be ultimately at the end of the day. But I'm saying if we're going to function in an environment where there are people that get to take access to that monopoly force of violence, then let's at least get people up to speed so that they're not voting people that, because voting, even when you talk about voting today, people think just by natural extension, by how much degradation to our individual freedoms and liberties are, is people feel that they should have the authority to vote on everything.
Yeah.
No. In the proper classical liberal, even the conservative constraints of government was we use it for a means to arbitrate actual genuine scenarios where you have people that are trying to use force against violence. So you're basically a big referee. Government's supposed to be like a big referee that uses certain principles as a means to arbitrate those disputes. Absolutely. Or if there's a foreign threat.
Right.
The pretense of government was that we all join together collectively to support our ability to defend ourselves from external threats. But we also have to, especially under the Constitution of the United States, is we also recognize that foreign threats are one thing, but we also have domestic threats. People are going to try to be violently or use violence or the political process to impose their will, their mandates, and need each other. So the whole pretense of government was to keep at bay the pretense of violence on wide scale uses. So to me, even get back to that point, I don't even care if we ever get to the point where we eliminate the pretense of government entirely, although that might be something in the future. But even over the next 20, 30, 50 years, all I really want at the end of the day is Canadians to stop picking up the gun, right? Yeah. You want health care? Well, stop using the gun. Ask people to help you, right? Use voluntary interactions, use pleas of compassion. And trust me, there are a lot of Canadians, because that's the other thing. You must at least recognize that most Canadians have a good heart, and they'll try to help you if you are actually desperately in need. And I would be willing to do so. It's just don't put the gun to my head. Because matter of fact, the minute you put the gun to my head, it's like, I probably would have helped you if you didn't do so. But the minute you put the gun in the head, now all of a sudden I don't want to help you. So actually the incentive structure is all wrong. Yeah.
And that's, I guess, if we want to dabble in the politics of it, I am a supporter of the PPC, and I guess the reason for me doing that, and of course, talking with a lot of the candidates as well, I'm starting to understand, or at least I dabbled in that before I got into, backing the PPC. And I think what I like about that is I almost consider it the PPC being like blockchain again, right? It's not just one centralized thing where it's easily attacked. Okay. Yep. And that's what people don't understand now. I ask every one of you out there, who's your MP right now? What's his name or her name? I bet 99% of you can't answer that.
No clue.
Have you ever talked to your MP out there? I bet you that's a no, right? So I guess what I'm getting at here is that the PPC and the candidates that I talk to, they want to be your voice. They want you to get your ass off the couch, get out there, be vocal about what you want Canada to look like again, right? You sit down and you shut up and you let all these whiny little turds get out there and say what they got to say. Well, that's the Canada you're going to have. And that's what we have today. You need to wax my balls. Is that the kind of people you want to be listening to running the country? Not at all. So these candidates are going to support you at a community level. They're going to come to you. They're going to hear what you want to say. They can't promise results, but at least it's going to go over to the House of Commons and your voice will get carried over there. Right now, that doesn't happen. MPs get swallowed up by this centralized Scheer. He takes all of his MPs in. Trudeau, all of his MPs in. They're all told to shut up and sit down right now. They got to toe the line. So that's what it's awesome to see that, because we don't have that kind of representation. And it's sort of a segue into what you were talking about, Bennett. I mean, we all have to stand up for what we believe in as personal, and then that voice gets carried louder to what the government is supposed to represent. It is supposed to represent our values and what we want Canada to be as a whole nation, not just 10% of it.
Right. No, I'm like I say, well, that's why I'm so appreciative to have people like yourself that are they're helping bring some discourse to the equation, because I can't do everything by myself. And there's a lot of us out there who have been trying our best, and we can reach a certain amount of people, but that's what to me, it's like, let's pick up the torch. Don't rely on even just me and Leo. And I'm seeing time and time again, there are more and more people step up the plate and create YouTube channels. And I'm glad to always promote and bring them on here so that they get actually, shit, am I gonna just try to think? There was one that had only like 100 some subscribers. I watched it. It was a really, really inspirational video. I wouldn't remember it right now. Actually, I got having a little bit of a memory relapse because I have so much stuff that I jam my head every day.
For sure.
But if I can remember, I'll place it in the link to this chat so that it is down there in the description of the video. But like I say, someone that did such a great job, and it was so articulate, but because they don't have any position of power or authority or not connected anyway, their voice is basically functioning like as if they were standing in the middle of the Grand Canyon. Nobody's around. It's like I actually feel sorrowful and sorry for these people because they put so much hard work and effort into espousing these things that really should help us to understand things properly. But the media aren't willing to give these people a voice because the media predominantly today, they know who butters their bread, and to them, and whether they do, it's not like it's a collective endeavor that it's a conspiracy. It's just they know what, right? They know who butters their bread, and they're going to. But to me, it's like we may not be able to convince them to do the right thing, going forward. But if they're unwilling to do the same thing or the right thing, then if we fail in our endeavor to get them to place themselves in a proper morals or ethic position, then let's step up and take their place, or at least offer the Canadian people an alternative so that they're getting these kind of properly articulated messages that have bases of morality and ethics. Because the people that represent the ruling class, they predominantly seem to be all about just maintaining the status quo because that is what's benefiting them most of their life. And I understand that's a natural incentive, of course. And I would imagine if I might be in their position now, well, first of all, I probably would have never been in that position, but I can even understand why they want to maintain the status quo, because if they don't, well, it's a destruction to their own bottom line.
Exactly. They lose their own power and their own structure.
Right. And they're not going to shoot themselves in the foot.
Nope.
Predominantly. So don't expect them people to change society. That's why it's a grassroots thing. It's people like me and Leo. We have to do it ourselves, folks.
Yeah.
We have to lead by example. And that's all that we have to rest and rely on today is doing it from the ground up, from the bottom up, and doing, even though it's uncomfortable. I'm sure Leo's the same way like I am. I didn't choose I tell you, in my mid 40s, I never would have thought that this is what I would be doing. Right?
No, man. No, not at all.
Decks, driving truck or ripping my four-wheeler down the trail. Right. But hey, when whether you want to call it nature calls or logic or
it's a call to action, right?
If you're in a position that you have the ability and the capacity to help people and help, that's the thing, help yourself and to help others. And if you can do that in an environment where there are people that are trying to destroy or degrade what it is to be free, then step up the plate and do so. Because that's really what we require today. Because the people that are the silent majority, the only reason why they're stepping out of the light, stepping on the shadows, is because those ones that said, "Hey, come on out here." Right? Exactly.
It's kind of that, like I just said, the call to action, right? You get that, and you feel that, you feel like a patriot. You want to get out there and continue the war that was started a long time ago, and then you start to realize that freedom isn't free. I love the Ronald Reagan speech that he had. Freedom is one generation away from extinction, and I never really understood that until probably about 3 years ago. And it's like, wow, it's true, because they are going to tell our kids that globalism is great. This is great. That's great. And now you're fighting your own kids saying, where did you learn this? Right. And it's because we're not paying attention. They're slipping it in, underneath us. Right. And they're diluting the waters, and that we have to reverse that direction, reset the moral compass, everyone. And I just wanted to say that too, look, Bennett, and that's why any chance I get, because I'm learning that, through YouTube, through Facebook, anybody that talks about conservatism or has that kind of view right now, they're actually getting shadow banned. And, it is tough. I mean, to even try and get your voice out there, nothing gets suggested. Nobody, they're not helping us out. So any chance you guys get to promote, Bennett's channel and things like that and put him out there, do that, because it's up to you now to be the voice and to carry that message forward. As Bennett put, you got the torch. Well, Bennett gives you the torch. You guys have to carry it from person to person and let people see the light, because otherwise it's just, the 30 or 40 people here that see this right now. We need a lot more than that. And we do need to get it to, other type of thought processes out there to challenge their thinking on it. And that's, you guys really need to help do that.
Yeah, and I'll even admit right now, I've probably been my own worst enemy many times, because to me, I constantly say all the time, don't even make it about me per se, because I just consider myself like I'm a modern day vessel that is conducting or reproducing knowledge that is produced. I didn't come up with the ideas of liberty. I'm just I kind of learned about these things early on, and I understand these things a little bit because I spent a lot of time.
Sure.
But to me, so same with Maxine Bernier and the PBC. I'm a big fan of the PBC and the ideas that the party and the platform position and the policy. But let's not focus on Maxine per se. He's just just another guy in Canada that's putting forth the ideas. I find it weird if we always function where we're just making some kind of idol. I'm not into idol worshiping.
No.
Even artists like music.
It's a vision.
Right? And even in my own particular field, like John Force, I was always a drag racer guy. I love drag.
Yeah.
If I ever met John Force, I wouldn't be idly worshiping the guy. I'd be like, I want to, pick his brain. I'd have respect for his talent and everything he brought to that particular venue.
Yeah.
I would never think that I should somehow let me just yield or bow to John. That would be a weird thing for me, which is why it's like, I don't want us to even get that point today. To me, let's keep promote the ideas and not.
That's right.
To me, even if the Canadian Libertarian becomes just someone that's on the back burner, but as long as I see, as long as I see that there are a lot of people either taking my place or just a whole lot of other people that are filling that void. Yeah. Don't necessarily focus on me. Just focus on the ideas. And I recognize someone that has a YouTube channel that relies on views, subscriber count.
Yeah, that sucks.
I realize I'm kind of shooting myself in my own foot by saying that, but once again, I'm saying that for a very good reason.
Yeah.
I'll take care of myself in my own life, no matter how bad off I am, and I'm going to figure that out no matter what. I would love to be able to do it where I don't have to go out and just, be do my 8 fucking things where I'm just doing my physical body, which is mostly what I've done most of my life. I would love to be properly rewarded and compensated for my intellectual endeavors and what I bring to the table. But even if I'm not, it's going to play out. Like I say, I'm willing to function in a free market. If people don't necessarily want to reward me or compensate me economically, I'll live with that. But at the very least, just carry forward. Just can do to support people, but support the ideas that they represent. Don't make them particular idols or figures that you put on a pedestal. They're just people that are representing ideas that they're quite old. They go back. I'm even saying today, back thousands of years. So it's not about me. It's about the ideas at the end of the day.
100%. And I guess, thanks for clarifying that a little more. And I guess that's what I meant by saying, share the channel. And I've come to the conclusion now that, I get it. We're being shadow banned, whatever. And that's why I say it's up to the people to keep the message going. The only thing that I aspire to get, I want to get my channel up to the 1,000 subscriber thing. And it's more for the, because now I can open up the live. I didn't realize that was actually so on your phone you can go live. And that's a lot of thing I want to start doing a little more of that now, but I can't. I don't have that feature, so it just opens up a few more features at that level. And after that, I don't even know if I care. But it's more about the message. I want to, if I can reach millions of people and get the message out there, and get 1, 2, 3 people to say, damn, I never really thought about that. And I have to rethink. I've done all I can do. Right now, it's up to you to go and learn. But like yourself, I mean, look, before I started this, I used to watch, I still do watch you, obviously, but I religiously, right? I would watch, and man, that guy's making some damn good sense, right? And look at him go. He's animated. It's awesome. But no, it's fun. And it just gets your juices flowing, and it gets you thinking, man, like, whoa, I never knew that. Right? I'm going to go check that out. That article he just talked about, man, I got to, he's right. Whoa, what's going on? Or, but at least you're thinking. Yeah. So that's kind of where I think just sharing these things, like you do, it's there to promote, challenge your belief system right now.
Yeah. And like, I will admit, even myself, like because I am one of those people that come up from a competitive background. Like I say, I'm more than willing tomorrow to yield to people. And I'll even say right now, there are people that do this maybe in a better, that's much more conducive to reaching out and appealing to other people. I don't know. I can only appeal to certain people. I've even said where people will say something, and I acknowledge this myself, and I'll say, yes, I agree. I do tend to ramble on from time to time. I probably could get my message out.
Guilty.
Right. And I could probably get the same message out in a third of the time. Right. So maybe I got to be better efficient. But once again, I'm still, even though I've been doing this for quite a while, I'm still a bit of a rookie because most of my life I've been a blue collar guy. So I'm still learning as I evolve myself. Right.
Yeah.
Don't hold me to like a standard. If you looked at someone that's a professional media character on TV doing it their whole life, I'm sorry. And you know, I don't have like groups of people. I don't have an entire, it's me, myself, and I.
Yeah.
So I just try my best, and I'm fallible. I fuck up. I make mistakes. But
that's what makes it real, Bennett.
Right. But at the end of the day, at the very least, most people that have watched my channel, and that's why I seem to have a fairly loyal audience, is they at least know no matter how much I fuck up, I have only the best of intentions, and it's not just about praising myself. It's not about getting people to like love Bennett. To me, I don't care if you love or hate me, just care about the ideas and the things that I talk about. And then, like I say, if people like Leo and others, and I've seen this happen, I've seen this play out for the last couple of years, where people will take some of the things they've heard from me and they'll build, and maybe, like I say, I'd love to see Leo kick my fucking ass actually and do it much better. Because if he did, I would be like, okay, well then I've obviously failed somewhere. And so to me, that would actually cause me to want to raise and elevate myself. So hopefully, whether it's Leo or Kelly or Mark or anyone out there, anyone that's doing these videos that are talking about the importance of standing for individual rights, just do your best, because I don't care at the end of the day. I of course, I like to have accolades and attention. Who doesn't? Everyone likes to have a little bit of a pat in the back once in a while. But at the end of the day, if the society, when I step outside my door, if my society that I live in is much more free and people understand, respect each other for what they bring to the table, then I've benefited. Whether I had to do all the work. Matter of fact, as someone that's all about efficiency and reducing my workload, if Leo can do that work for me and I benefit, that's a good thing, right?
Right. It makes light hands, right? The more people doing the same thing, I guess, or at least working towards the same goal, it just makes it a light hands, right?
And then we don't feel that we're beholden to an individual.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, it can't be about a one man. It's got to be what you say. Got to be about the connectivity, and that unity has to rest and reside on ideas, right? And the idea is that we're all standing fighting for, and whatever words or rhetoric we use to espouse our principle is that the goal is, like you're saying, is freedom. And what
it is,
what could a human being like? What possibly could create more of a unity position than for freedom?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like that every one of us would be like, okay, I'm dropping my ideological bullshit. This guy talk about freedom, and he's willing to include me in that equation. Because I'm even saying to these Antifa dipshits, I want you to have freedom too.
Absolutely, everyone.
People is you're not going to necessarily like the freedom, because your freedom comes with personal responsibility. Well,
it's the accountability, right? A lot of people don't want to be accountable.
Right.
I shake my head at that a lot of the times, but it's just sort of a disease out there that people just can't see through the light or the fog, I guess. Well, we'll call it gaslighting. How about that?
Yeah, exactly.
That's kind of what it is, right?
Exactly.
We've just been duped, and it's hard to accept that fact, right? We've been told all these things all these years, sit down, shut up, and just follow. Don't you dare sway, right? And now, guys like yourself are reminding us that we're an individual, and as an individual, we matter. And you don't, like I know you're competitive, but I'm sure you don't go out there and say, oh, I compare myself to this person. No, you compare yourself to yesterday. Right? Yeah. Bennett yesterday is who you compare yourself to and say, I can do better. I mean, that's what you just said. Or at least that's what I heard anyways.
Yes.
Right? You're right. Okay. So, and I think that's what a lot of people have to understand. You got to go out there in life and say, here's my benchmark today. I can do better. But don't go out there and say, well, there's John down the road. He's got a Porsche and I got to get a Porsche too.
Yeah.
To become something. That's not what life is about. And freedom that Bennett's trying to explain, I believe.
Hey, can I just say this, Leo? Real quick?
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up, actually, especially bringing in like the car and the Porsche or all that into the, or sorry, Ferrari or whatever, into the equation. What I'm trying to do by sheer fact that I've gained and achieved or attained this kind of knowledge that I've been fortunate because I live in the age of information is what I'm saying is I don't want to possess that just for myself. So, let's use the metaphor of the Ferrari. I'm saying I've somehow magically gained possession or the keys of a Ferrari. I'm saying I'm not just going to be selfish to keep that Ferrari for myself. I'm saying I want to give everyone a fucking Ferrari.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing out there when I'm saying what I got to say is I'm not just relying on giving myself this knowledge and being selfish where I'm the only one that possesses or attains it. I'm like, here's the fucking key. I want all you fuckers here. Take your Ferrari, man. Here you go. That's all I'm doing at the end of the day is I'm saying, get yourself your own goddamn Ferrari. That's all I really want at the end of the day is if I was selfish, if all I cared about was myself, I would soak up and assume all that knowledge and use it to my own benefit at everyone else's expense, which actually would be quite easy because a lot of people are unsuspecting victims. It's quite easy to manipulate people for your own benefit. That's not but to me, it's like, I want to do better than that. I'm like, I've been fortunate because I've been able to stand on the backs of geniuses or the shoulders of geniuses before me. And because I've now, gained possession of that knowledge, to me, it's like, I want to share it with as many people as humanly possible. What it is some people are pissed off that I'm trying to share. But I get why you're mad. The people that are mad, it's just, you're hearing stuff that you haven't heard before. And you're the failure of the people that have educated and informed you prior. Don't get mad at me because I'm offering you something that's questioning your narrative or your ideology. Because trust me, at the end of the day, if you've worked that through your logic, through your mind, you'll be like, well, thank you, Bennett. Actually, and then most people that actually and Leo's one of them. Most people at the end of the day, whether you agree with me on everything, at the very least, you can say, well, thank you at least for making me start to question some of my the orthodoxy that was jammed in my head when I was a kid. Right. That's all I really do at the end of the day.
Absolutely. And I guess what I'm hearing from that is that the Ferrari is a metaphor for basically whatever it is that you want in life. It doesn't mean that, Ferrari for you could mean, I don't know, I want this brand new couch or I want, something that you aspire, whatever it is, you want to give them to meet the means personally to attain what they want out of life. And if you want to live out of a stump in the middle of the woods, that's your Ferrari. Right. Yeah. And if you want to live in a mansion, somewhere in Nepal or something, I mean, again, the point is it's metaphorically speaking, saying as a person, we want to give you, open up that door to say, this is how you attain that. And that is through your own self, not through anybody else. You are who you are. Be confident in that and walk forward on your path. And don't you let anybody cross, as Bennett put, don't you cross that line because that's my friggin' line. Right. And when you start getting into my boundaries, I'm going to protect it.
Yep. And
I'm pushing back.
And that's what it is, right? That's whether you're talking about property rights for, your home, your apartment, or your mind, your intellect, or your physical capacity is, I'm totally willing to interact, engage with you voluntarily. But once you've encroached or try to restrict in any way, and you've stepped upon that line, over that line, that's where you see. And that's the thing with Canadians is we're very, very good people and we're very respectful. We have that.
Absolutely.
It goes all the way back to our British ancestry for a lot of us. Not everyone. I get there's people that come from France and stuff and different backgrounds, but I say there is a fundamental respect for political discourse in Canada. But the problem is people take that far too much advantageous and they think that Canadians are just pushovers. No. You can push for a while and you can push so far and they'll lean back. Matter of fact, they're almost like that picture in the Matrix, how far they'll lean back, right? But before they fall on their ass, watch how they'll spring back. That's the thing. And I don't want us to get to the point where we have to spring back too hard because it might be a little bit too fast, right? For some
I agree.
people. I'm saying
that is the fear.
Right? Don't push us back too far. That's all I'm saying. And that's why I offer, like I say, every day, I offer anyone from that has an opposing opinion or even just thinks about freedom in a different manner or perspective is let's interact and engage in dialogue. And if we can use dialogue as an ultimate means to an end and come to some kind of agreement, then we can walk away from that discourse where we're not using violence. But if we're not going to engage in dialogue and we're just going to constantly be using the political realm or force or violence as our ultimate means to an end, well, then you at least, especially those of you who are authoritarian collectivists, you better expect and accept the fact that people like me or people like Leo or people that are staunchly independent, yeah, we're a force to be reckoned with. It doesn't mean we want to use force, but don't push us too far. That's all I get at the end of the day. What we're saying, don't push too far, because if you get to the point where you've caused us to be in an area where all we have left to retaliate is using violence, it's not going to work out for anybody. It's going to be, matter of fact, it's going to be a real detriment to our opponents. And so to me, this is a plea to compassion to my opponent. I don't want to do anything to my opponents preemptively. I want to properly try to articulate my message, my stance, and what it means to be for me, for a human being. That's like me saying to the guy that wants to, step over that line onto my property and steal from my vegetable garden. I'm saying, I'm not going to shoot you the minute I see you in the back field. I'm saying, don't fucking steal my shit. And I'm going to leave that up to you. That's your voluntary choice. But don't say that I didn't warn you up front that don't steal from me. Because if you steal from me, I'm going to have to react and retaliate in kind. I'm saying I don't want to have to react or retaliate, but if you force my hand, right?
And that's and that's the dangerous equation to that. I guess there's two parts. The way I think about that is, you were talking about springing back. If I can speak to that for a second, my fear with that whole thing, and again, I'm going through that here in Alberta, Bennett. So everybody, we didn't like the NDP, and I sure as hell didn't like Trudeau. So we got smoked over here. We had, the perfect storm. And now everybody stood up and said, well, I'm voting Conservative. We're a great big blue wave over here. But now guess what? Everybody's falling right back to sleep again. Oh, we got Kenny. Oh, Kenny. Yeah, he's foghorn leghorn. He's going out there and he's crowing a lot. No action as far as I'm concerned. I haven't seen much yet, but he's crowing a lot and he's giving a posturing a lot. But wait till he fulfills his promise of, 10,000 immigrants he's going to put into rural Alberta and all these things that he snuck in there in the campaign, and people aren't going to be paying attention again, and he'll get it in there. It's just, that's what's happening. The whole yo-yo effect of politics today. So you get the good cop, bad cop, right? So the bad cop, the liberals, they're going to steamroll and see how far they could push. And then we think that, voting CPC, that's going to hammer the lever back and release the pressure. Well, it does just enough for you to go back to sleep again. And then the liberals are going to finish the job one more time. Right. That's why I'm a proponent of, I call the PPC that blockchain, because you can't infiltrate it as easy. That means like your guest tomorrow, you're going to see this. Kelly. Try and get Kelly to bend on to one knee to Max. See how far that goes.
There's a reason why Kelly didn't choose to go to the CPC.
Oh, absolutely. Right. And then you've got like Mark Friesen and all these great candidates. There's no friggin' way Max is going to say, come here. I'm going to tell you how to think. And they're going to say, I got something for you, Max, right? You can shove that where the sun doesn't shine. Which they respect the man, but it's just like you. They believe the same core values. They are who they are, and they're fighting for Canadians, right?
Yeah.
So,
which is hilarious, because you know that you're not a genuine populist when the media points you out as being a populist, right? And the media has been nothing but spinning the whole thing. And I covered a video where they're talking about Doug Ford and Jason Kenney. He's like, really though? I mean, they tried to play that game, but once they got position of power, we've seen how much of a failure they become. Well, I mean, I did a video. Actually, I haven't even uploaded it because it needs to be focused predominantly on an issue that's only related to. So to me, I used to like to deal things that cover the macro aspect. But I have a video that I have yet to upload. But it came out, and I was like, really though, Kenny? After all that stuff that you put forth, he's basically, his government is now carrying through. And what it is, they become reliant. So the NDP gave the oil industry the ability to have their own little cartel to manipulate.
Yes.
Right?
I'm glad you see that.
Yeah. So now they have this oil curtailment. So we have our own cartel. We have our own OPEC, right? In Canada, where you're causing a lot of these oil producers to restrict and contain or restrain their productive capacities to try to artificially bid up the prices.
Bullshit.
That effect is on the Canadian people, you fucking dipshits. You're causing the Canadian people, and all Kenny has done is like now some of these oil execs. But that's the thing. Once you give these fucking dipshits the ability to dip their toes in the state waters where they don't have to function in the free market, well, of course they become comfortable with that. And now Jason Kenney probably gone around to those dipshits is like, well, should we get back to more free market fundamentals? Well, actually, you know what? Tell you the truth, we're doing pretty good with this oil.
Yeah.
Well, of course you are. Well, that's why you never give these fucking dipshits the ability to do that in the first place.
That's right.
But Jason Kenney's like, well, rather than stand on my principles, well, I realized that I need these oil execs to vote for me and support me. So I was like, well, okay, we'll do this for sellout. Fucking sellouts. And I'm tired of all these sellouts in this country.
Yep.
Why do you think this race to the bottom is on a fast-paced trajectory? And we're basically now in Canada, we're like, oh, we're number one as far as racing down to that bottom. Why?
Yeah.
Because we keep allowing this stuff to take place. And Jason Kenney and Doug Ford, please, if they're the populists, like really what? But you know what? One thing in that article that they left completely out of that equation was PPC, right? Why?
Yeah.
No, that's where the truth.
That's it.
Damage to the establishment is taking place, but they don't want to cover that because then they realize, people will actually see and hear because they like I say, they're trying to give us our Ron Paul moment where most Canadians don't even know what the PPC represents, or they're told that there's just nothing but a bunch of old white men that are racist. So don't look over there, right?
Exactly. No, that's crap. And I'm so glad you brought that up, actually, Bennett, the whole curtailment, because I a lot of my friends are engineers, and they actually tell me, so they're in a small producer. So what people don't understand is, okay, so curtail, now someone like, let's just use one of the big guys, well, anyway, let's just, I don't want to name names because that's just going to be crazy, but let's just say one of the big oil producers. Okay. We're talking where their CEO makes a $7 million bonus. Okay. Those are the guys that make the money. Let me just tell you that right now. So they don't want to screw up their bonus.
I'm just going to run to the can, Leo. Go ahead, buddy.
Okay. Well, I'll just give her here.
Yeah, give her, buddy.
Okay. So these guys don't want to screw up their bonus, right? So what they do is they're going to make this curtailment. And here's what happens. So Kenny goes out there and says, hey, this is great. Let's prop up the price. Let's take 5% of oil off the market, and then we'll drive up the prices. Well, that's a way to price fix. And Buddy now maintains his bonus because guess what? The prices went up under his charge, right? The other part is that we don't see. So the smaller producers they're cutting thin margins here. So they have so many wells, and off of each well, they make maybe 7% off of each well because of the operating costs, right? So now curtail that by 5%, right? So you've got an ops cost of, maybe 3%, let's say on a well. I'm just pulling numbers out of my butt, guys. But so now curtail that by 5%. Now you're negative 1% operating cost on that well. Well, guess what? I'm going to start shutting in all these wells. I can't afford to keep these wells going under a curtailment. I'm a small guy. I don't have what these guys have in their deep pockets, these big companies. So, well, what the hell? Well, then guess what? These guys come in and say, well, I'll take that asset off of your hands for, 30% of the cost just to help you out. Then you get some nice little cushion in there to help your ops out. It's a way to basically kill the small shops, right? They grow and these guys die under this curtailment. It is not a good thing for anyone. And putting it on rail. Yeah, that's a great idea, guys. And, we have to understand the whole facet of how this all works out. I mean, we don't know what the deals are with the rail companies, and sure, it's an easy way to get there, but we know that is not the easiest or the safest solution. And educating people on pipelines, why can't we have that discussion? And I think Kelly Lorenz, he'll probably have that discussion on. I would definitely join Bennett tomorrow for that, because Kelly will have a great view on how that works and what a pipeline. Hopefully you guys get into the discussion, because people need to be educated on the difference between the rail and pipeline. And it's just, we all see, well, it's gross, a big mess happens. Well, we can shut in a pipeline and we can, the mess is smaller, but a rail car, you pop a balloon and crap goes everywhere. How do you contain that? You've got 50 cars worth of stuff all over the place, whereas in a pipeline, everything shuts in, right? We've got safety measures for that. It's just, but people aren't aware of that, and it's the propaganda that's out there. So
great job, Leo. And actually, just so you know, because of the current layout and the place I am right now, the watch is literally just on the other wall. So I hear everything you're saying.
Oh, okay.
And you did beautiful. No, that's so perfect. Like I say, to me, it's like, all right, we're done. No, but that's exactly like I say. It's not that like to me, I just want what's best for the Canadian people. To not have these prices of all the things that they consume artificially increased needlessly, because I know how difficult it is today based on, like I say, I don't even have to get into the macroeconomics of central banks and fiat currency, but just think of how difficult it is for the typical Canadian just to produce and provide for society, or for the most staples that they require. Because that's the other thing people don't properly articulate in their equation or formulation when they're talking about economics is, okay, yes, electronic or consumable goods that come from third world or emerging countries, yes, those are cheap. Why? Because of the reflection of the wages in those particular countries.
Yeah.
But the staples, which based on all the energy that he's referencing that comes from the oil sands, or the oil that we get from some of these oil cartel countries or the U.S. or all, is they're all artificially elevated by sheer fact that there's manipulation in the economy. The price of oil, if you knew just how much, I mean, the U.S. it's gone, and this was back in the 50s or 60s was the last time the U.S. was the world's major oil producer. But now the U.S., our southern neighbor, is actually the largest oil producer on the planet. And we have all these cartels around the world that produce an oil at record amounts as well. So the price of oil,
light oil, anyways.
But if you think about it, the price of oil and the price of gas and all that fuel, those derivatives from the oil and gas industry, should be so ridiculously cheap today as a reflection if it was based on market fundamentals. But they're not. They're not based on anything remotely resembling market fundamentals. They're artificially inflated. And there's a lot of people or participants that like to keep that elevated. Now, it's not just the oil and gas industry that likes these artificially inflated prices.
Oh, yeah.
Even though they benefit it because that helps their bottom line. But think about it. All these environmentalists, all these crony dipshits, well, they love to have those prices artificially inflated too, because then that gives them the area where they can siphon off through the taxation, use some of those government initiatives, and maybe try to use that wealth redistribution to prop up their own industries, which I'm all about. If there's alternative industries that'll step up, like electric or gas or wind turbines or some of these alternative technologies, I'm all for that. But if you're skimming off the top, if you're resting and relying on stealing from the ones that are producing the true energy, to me, it's like, no, then you're not functioning in a market environment. Now you're literally standing on the backs and the shoulders and trying to, once again, you're doing that finger wagging once again at the oil and gas industry. Meanwhile, how does your green industry come to exist? Does Alexandria Cortez or what are some of these lefties in the Catherine McKinn or any of these dipshits? Did government, what the hell did government produce to provide to compensate some of these new upstarts? Nothing other than steal from the productive class of the oil and gas industry. I'm saying if those other alternative industries in terms of energy, if they're viable, well, the market will automatically pivot towards them. Just don't keep shooting the people that are producing and providing all that wealth that you're stealing. Stop shooting them in the foot just because you want to turn or pivot to a different alternative energy source, right?
Yeah. Well, and I think that's a large part. Every energy source has an owner, if you will, or basically someone who's set up to profit from it. And I think that's what we have to realize. So when we look at this critically, we have to say that, okay, so if energy becomes the next big bolstering producer, then someone's gaining or profiting from that in a large way. So we have to be careful. That's why I love competition. Look, you get to choose which one you want. And those guys are competing against each other, which makes it a viable source. I mean, now I know that if he's got the monopoly as oil or electricity, well, guess what happens, right? Now you're going to pay through the roof because that guy wants his money, right? And I'm just saying guy, woman, whoever, the person wants their money, right? And the same thing over there. So all of a sudden, oil and gas. So they're going to say, well, Jesus, we got to somehow stop electricity from growing so we can get our market share back. I want my money. That's what's happening on a daily basis out there. And we're just the pawns. And they use all this political rhetoric to make us think, it's for the environment. oh no, electricity has, EMF, so it'll hurt your brain, give you cancer, go back to oil. It's all bullshit. I mean, there probably is some scientific facts to it, but that's not, they don't give a shit about that. It's money. It's all money, man. All money.
It's all about forcefully redistributing that money. That's
absolutely.
The thing. Listen, I love to see allocations of resources going into different venues. Especially if it's done on a voluntary means, because that tells me that that's actually the best way to affect the psychology of people in terms of our energy consumption, is to offer something that's a better alternative, and people will naturally gravitate to that. I know I sure shit would, for the most part. I'm not saying that everyone will, but we will naturally gravitate to some of these alternative resources, but not when you're imposing or adding extra costs on us.
That's
it. To me, it's like Trudeau and his mindless minions is, if you want to help the working class or the functioning poor in this country, well, add in extra layers of bureaucracy and cost on top of everything. When you go to heat your home, whether you're using propane, natural gas, or wood, or anything that you consume, because even that wood, it was chopped down by chainsaws that use oil and gas, right? Or a big gigantic machine. So if you create and impose extra layers of costs or bureaucracy, then you're actually harming the people that you pretend that you care about, because it's the working poor that are going to end up predominantly being exposed to most of those costs, because the people that are on the upper echelons in the economic sphere, they have all kinds of ways to offload their cost to someone else. So to me, these big government initiatives that come from the people that pretend that they're on the labor side of things, the left, even the NDP, and I'm glad to see that the NDP has failed tremendously, because at least most Canadians realize that you're not on your side. If you're the working class, the NDP don't give a flying rat's ass about you. No. They only want to be opportunists and gain some position of power and use big unions, maybe.
Big unions, and government, everything.
But they're not about giving the working class some genuine bargaining power at the table, right? That's not what they're all about. To me, actually, I'm never been a fan of using government as a means to an end. Never been. But like I say, no one has even given the working class in this country for the last, as long as I've been alive, any semblance of actually giving the ability to challenge the corporate or the crony class. Nobody. Which is why I'm not a big fan of the Conservatives. The Conservatives predominantly, historically, that should have been that one place. It should have. Even though they were about businesses historically, without big government helping them, a genuine business owner realized that actually we need a good, productive work class. So they were actually more about promoting a healthy, sustainable environment for their employees or the working class. Conservatives today, they're like, oh, why would I bother going through all that work when I can just use government as my means to an end? Right? That's like I say, you've caused the degradation of not just what would have been classic liberals in terms of the economics, but even genuine conservatives. Nobody is actually willing to hold free market fundamentals or principles as the core for the values. Now they just want to feed it the trough. Well, that's the thing. Government has created this big, gigantic trough, and listen, some people that lobby government, some of these crony corporations, and some of these people that are the big proponents of unions, is you've created this big gigantic trough, and now you're pissed off the fact that everyone's run to the trough. Well, we have never voted to create the big trough to begin with, and we wouldn't find ourselves in the position we are in today.
And that's where they're all at. They want their turn at the trough, right? And people think, oh, you're going to be my savior. And it comes down to what you're talking about before. The minute you expect someone else to save your own ass is the minute you've lost your own freedom right there. And that's where we'll always agree. I mean, you look to yourself, man. You're your own mechanism of freedom. You decide what you want and where you want to go, and your action gets you there. So this action means you approve of someone else's action, right? You're saying, okay, well, they're doing fine, and I don't agree with someone going out there and saying, shave my balls or wax my balls. So, me not saying anything about that just means I'm okay with it. Right? So have some personal accountability, get out there, guys, and, get off the couch and say some stuff, right? Get out there and help us, right? Get the message out.
Right on, Leo. Listen, I'm going to go completely now. It's like, might as well just consider our whole interaction engagement in terms of talking about, the important parts. Let's just call that a day. And I think we've done a good job, I think.
You got her.
So let's go into a little bit lighter thing. What do you think of that guy, Raging Humanist? Have you watched him? He was on.
I don't think I have.
Oh, or I like this guy. He's been on with Rance Derrick a couple times.
Okay.
And his name is Raging Humanist. And I actually remember, I think it was a couple videos prior to the newest one I watched, where he said, so I'm going to reach out to him, try to bring him onto my channel. I think, like I say, but this guy, so he has he's got a military background. He did, I don't know if it was 1 or 2 tours in Afghanistan, I believe it was.
I'm just going to Google him here while you're.
Yeah, no, he's a man. He's another one of those. That's what I love about Canadians. Most of us, fortunately, a few of us are still staying in Canada, but a lot of Canadian talent end up going down to the US because that's seemingly the only place they're going to get some proper acknowledgement or rewards for the talent. But I'm so grateful to see not just people like Derek, he's a comedic guy and has a pretty good personality, but this Raging Humanist guy, he's actually really good. He does some great impersonations. He's funny as hell. He's quick on the cuff. Like I say, I'll bring him on the channel there if he's willing to. I think he is, because like I say, he mentioned in the past that he'd like to be on the channel before. So I'll bring him on the channel, and maybe you'll get to know him in that way. But if you want to in between, like I say, just go. He was on Rants Derek just a few days ago. But yeah, this guy, he's pretty wild. But like I say, every time I see someone that steps up, I've always known this about Canadians. Like we have the competence and the ability to really punch above our weight. The problem is, like I say, most of the time we feel like we have to go way south of the border to get any acknowledgement or recognition for what we bring to the table. But I'm glad to see that Canadians like you, like me, Derek, and Raging Humanists and all these people is saying, no, we're going to do it. Well, that's the thing. We are still using an American platform. I'll point this out, folks. Think about it. We are using an American platform, but hey, but we can do it in our own country today. So we don't have to travel down south of the border. We can do it in our own country. And that, to me, I want to get my Canadian peeps up with that healthy psychology that the Americans have.
Absolutely.
Sometimes I'm a little bit envious to the Americans because they have that thing where they're so emboldened to stand in defense of their liberty. It's like, I aspire to that. Matter of fact, it's not that I hate my Canadian peeps. I want you to aspire to that kind of success in terms of
rise to that level.
I want you to be that. And you know what? Now we don't have to travel down there, and now we can use the amazing Canadians that we have at our disposal, such as such as you, such as myself or whatever. We can use all this, and we can present this while we're still in Canada, talk about Canadian issues, and what's affecting Canadians, and embolden. To me, that's a great thing. But this guy, like I say, he's got a good future if he wants to stay into doing like whether it's radio personality or doing YouTube videos or like I say, he's very engaging. He seems to be at least somewhat informed. I'm sure he's probably got a lot, just like anyone else. He's could probably get up to speed of things. But he's got a good character about him. You can tell his personality. He's lighthearted for the most part, but he's been in some pretty precarious situations. He tells some great stories. I mean, my goodness, just hear about some of the stories he was telling Derek when he was doing his tours in Afghanistan.
Oh wow,
it's some pretty cool stuff. And like I say, he brings some of those uncomfortable things in terms of even being in actual, combat where you're dealing with people but he covers it in such a way that it's not confrontational, a little bit comedic, which I think is great. It just gives people a good way to delve into these things where you're not feeling like, that cognitive dissonance, the way he's talking about it, right? So I love it. But check out Raging Humanist.
Right on, I will. Yeah.
He's a great guy. And like I say, hopefully I'll bring him on here on my channel soon. And maybe you'll get a chance to have a conversation with him too. But like I said, I just wanted to bring it down back to a little bit more of a relaxed thing because I'm probably going to get off here because this week I've already been on probably about 6-7 hours, which is just I'm just barely working up a sweat. But thanks, Leo, for you to come.
Yeah, you bet.
I like I say, I'm really, really happy to see you, and you make some great videos. That's nothing. Those of you that are watching this, obviously, you're probably a lot of you already subscribed to Leo. But even though you're subscribed to Leo, even for myself and Leo, or for other people, is share it with others.
Yeah,
because we really, really, for us to be like a genuinely, truly a big force to be reckoned with. Well, we need much more than just to function in our little. And I recognize that our echo chambers are filled with some amazing people. Absolutely, people that are in it. But we got to span that out bigger. We got to get this message. We got to get this platform. We got to get us to spread ourselves out so that there's more and more people, right? Because the more and more people that are more conducive and willing to interact, and engage with us, or watch our content, it's once again, it's that lead by example. The people that are fence sitters, They'll jump off that fence if their friend, their brother, their sister, their aunt, their uncle, somebody's like, hey, did you check out this guy Leo? He's fucking awesome. And then, like I say, but you have to entice them. And the only way that's going to happen is by sharing the information, or sharing Leo's videos, or sharing my videos, or sharing Dare. Just get out there and share. And don't be shy. Yeah, there might be some people say, oh no, you don't want to listen to those people. Well, the minute the people that says that you don't want to listen to other people, that's actually the minute you should be listening to those other people.
Absolutely.
At the very least, if it is only to pique your curiosity as to hear, well, what the fuck are they saying that's so terrible, right?
Yeah.
At least just if it's just out of sheer curiosity, just listen to people. And I'm pretty sure that you'll find yourself in the same position that me and Leo find ourselves is in. Some of these people that are talked about by the establishment media, the ruling class, that are outrageous or far right, no, they're just genuinely reasonable people. They're just trying to figure a best way forward so that we're not using government as an ultimate means to ends, and we can figure out a way to be more readily accepting of adopted proper principles and the philosophical underpinnings that makes the West the best. And that's really what we care about. It's not about skin color. It's not about, races or religion. It's about the ideas of liberty. And as long as we're all trying to congregate and coalesce under the fundamental principles of liberty, we can argue and debate about how that actually unfolds. But at the very least, like I say, we're all fellow travelers, and I'm more than willing to travel down the path with people that care about liberty. And I think most Canadians are probably going to want to get that point at some point in time. Maybe not now, because there are some of them that are heavily reliant on big government. But at the end of the day, they'll probably realize that liberty is what's going to matter most. Your moment in the sun, or what you have benefited from big government, that'll help you now, but there's a whole lot of future that's going to have to unfold. So even people that are maybe fence sitters now, they won't vocalize their support for us, but they might do it at the ballot box, right? If we embolden them properly, they might vocalize when they're out around their status counterparts. They might say, oh yeah, I don't agree with the PBC. I don't agree with, Leo. But at the end of the day, if they have any moral bones or fiber within their being, they might check that box, right? And support the PBC just by sheer fact that even though publicly they might not want to do that because it might be a detriment to their bottom line. But privately, when you're behind that box, when you're within that booth, they might very well do the right thing. So anything that you can do is to help entice those people to do the right thing at the end, no matter what rhetoric or what principles they espouse, to align with the friends, to keep the peace with the friends. If they do the right thing at the end of the day to bring freedom to fruition, then I applaud them. I don't even care if they are vocal publicly, as long as privately they support freedom.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with you. And that's the whole idea behind this, right? And like I said, I'm glad we kind of had that chance to clear that up too, with the whole libertarian, because I think it's important that you get to say your side of it, right? I don't want to be, I guess, spouting things out that I don't know anything about. So that's why I leave it up to you to explain that. But then, and again, now people understand why I didn't call myself a libertarian. It's not that I don't believe in the values. It's just the label gets misconstrued, and I don't even want to go down that road. Right. So it's like, I'll let Bennett clear the path for that because he knows what the hell he's talking about, and he can make a good point with that. And I'm just going to say, I believe in the core values of it.
Perfect.
Right? Makes sense.
It makes total sense. Yeah, 100%. Anyways, buddy, thank you for joining in the stream today. And thanks for everyone that joined up in the chat. Sorry I didn't have a whole lot of time to interact and engage with you, but I see you guys were all filling up the time. Making sure that's the thing. You don't even have to worry about that with those of us that are in the stream, because they just feel their own way to fill up their time and interact and engage with each other. And like I've said many times in the past, if you ever want to come on the show, just let me know and I'll bring you on the show. I don't care who you are. You don't have to have any stature or position. You just have to care about liberty, and I'll give you the opportunity anytime you want. But thanks, Leo, and thanks for everyone that joined the chat. And we'll see you tomorrow. Don't forget, like I say, at 1 p.m. Eastern time, I'm going to be having my chat with Kelly Lawrence. Once again, he's the candidate that's challenging Michelle Rempel for that riding out there at Calgary Nose Hill. This should be pretty interesting. I expect that'll be wild. So I'm going to give him the platform for sure to start what he's got to say. And like I say, thanks to everyone. Thanks, Leo. We'll talk to you again soon. It's Canadian Libertarian, and I love liberty.